A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
The Fruitless Fig Tree, a drama of understanding and judging others, based on a teaching from the greatest life ever lived. Our story begins in the town of Capernaum. It's late afternoon, and the Apostle Peter walks along a narrow, winding street, when he's suddenly aware of two voices quarreling.
I'll ask you once more, Philip, will you come home as I say?
What for?
Because I tell you to, and I'm your mother.
You can't make me.
Oh, if only your father were alive. But I'll get someone to help me.
Oh, go ahead.
I will. You, sir, would you help me with this good-for-nothing son of mine?
Me? What is it you want me to do?
You're big and strong. Make him come home with me before he gets into worse trouble. Hit him if you have to. That's what he needs. Someone who can force him to do the right thing. I can't.
I could ask him.
Oh, asking him won't help. He's too wild. He runs around with the worst boys in this town, stealing from the merchants in the marketplace, annoying decent people.
It's a lie.
You won't say your mother lies. Do you hear? I won't stand for it after all I've done to try to bring you up properly. I don't know what to do anymore.
Please, Mother. Let me talk to the boy.
I tell you, talk won't help him. He must be beaten in order to understand.
Nobody's ever going to beat me again.
Pretty strong, aren't you?
What about it?
You think that because you're stronger than your mother, you don't have to obey her?
I've obeyed her long enough.
You see, he's growing up to be a criminal. A criminal. Someday they'll stone him, send him to the galleys. He's got to be punished while there's still time.
You can't beat goodness into anyone. Look, son.
What do you want?
This being strong and thinking that makes you right, it doesn't always work out.
It works for me.
Does it? Hit me.
What?
Go on, hit me. You're strong. You're tough and hard. Hit me.
What are you trying to do?
I'm just asking you to hit me. Go on.
If you really want me to.
Is that your hardest blow?
Well, yeah.
It didn't hurt me. Now, if I were to hit you...
Wait, don't please.
You see, if strength is what makes right, then the next man who comes along and is stronger than you is right. And you're wrong, just because he said so.
Well,
And since I'm stronger than you are, I could tell you to do anything I want you to. And you'd have to do it, according to your own rules. But I'm not going to tell you to do anything. Because big and strong as I am, I don't believe in that. Since I started to follow the Master, I know that strength does not make right.
You're one of the Master's followers?
Yes. My name is Peter.
Peter. Say, I've heard of you.
And so have I. If you follow the Master, you must know how wrong my son has been, how bad a life he's led, stealing and fighting. Wouldn't the Master himself want this worthless son of mine punished?
I don't know.
Well, he teaches right, goodness, honesty, all the things that my son is not.
He teaches more, too. He teaches us not to judge too quickly or without understanding all the factors in the things you judge. I can remember, not so long ago, that he told us all a parable. A parable would do you good to hear, just as he told us.
A certain man had a fig tree planted, and he came and sought fruit thereon.
my fig trees, young man. And yours will be a position of great responsibility. For in all this part of the land, no one raises better figs than I. Do you think you can fill a job as gardener on my estate?
Oh, yes, sir. I think I can. All my life I've lived on farms. I've worked hard. I've had good experience.
I want to warn you, Nathan, that I'm a strict man, a perfectionist. And that once, each harvest season, I demand that all of my gardeners bring me the choicest fruits and grains they raise. If they're not up to my standard, well, I don't have any man on my estate who can't produce the finest. You understand?
Yes, Abner, I understand.
Well, then, you think you can fill the job, move into the little cottage on the other side of the vineyard. It's yours.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. My wife and I, we haven't been married very long. The cottage will be our first real home together. So, you see, I've got to make good.
Well, I hope you do. Now, get along and get settled, and the first thing tomorrow I'll show you around the vineyard and acquaint you with your duties.
Yes, sir.
Right there?
Yes, Nathan. Our prized dish. My grandmother's gift to my mother when she was married. The only thing I could save. Now to place it on the shelf of our home. Our first home.
Now, you said you weren't going to talk about it.
Can I ever forget? When I was a child and I heard these things, I thought it was history, something in the past. There can be no war again in our land, I thought.
No war. This land is destined to be the battlefield of nations forever. The Egyptians, the Philistines, the Syrians. So it has gone, and so it will go. When the invaders come in, you carry what you can, bury the rest, and escape into the hills.
And then when you come back where your house used to be, it's nothing but ashes. The last real home I ever had. And I was only 9.
Please, dear, don't think about it. We have a home now. We'll keep it forever.
You think you can fill the job of gardener?
Oh, I know it. Growing things are like a part of me. To see them grow and ripen is the most satisfying thing I know. I'll make good, Ruth. I will.
And we'll stay here always?
Please, dear, I told you. This is our home. You don't have to worry anymore. Nothing will take this from us.
If you're as good a man as Eli was with fig trees, you won't have any trouble. I lost a fine gardener when he died.
I'll do my best.
Now, look about here very carefully. See? All good fruit-bearing trees. I want them kept that way.
Of course.
Now then, what's this?
Well, this tree at the end of the row?
Yes.
It doesn't seem to have any fruit.
Indeed it doesn't. Take it out.
It looks like a healthy tree.
But it isn't bearing fruit. Take it out.
But it's a tree that's reached maturity. It will bear fruit.
What it will do, I don't know. What it's doing now, I do know. It's taking up valuable space on my land, and it's giving me nothing in return. I say take it out.
I think you're being hasty,
Don't
sir.
tell me what you think. Just do as I say.
But after allowing it to grow for 3 years, is it right to tear it up by the roots now? At least give it another chance, another season in which to produce.
What makes you think it will ever produce?
Well, sir, look at the way it's been kept. Probably because it's the last tree in the line. Weeds, the soil so dry that you can tell it hasn't been watered properly. A tree needs care and attention. Water, soil turned up often. It just can't grow anywhere and under any conditions.
So you think you can teach me how to care for growing things? This whole estate. Did I get it by not knowing what to do? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Well, I didn't say
You
that.
implied it?
No, sir.
You as good as said I was wrong, didn't you?
Please, Abner, I only tried to say that this tree hasn't had a fair chance to show whether it can bear fruit or not. And I hate to root up any growing thing that's healthy. I couldn't be honest with you. I didn't tell you this.
I see. You know, Nathan, you're the first gardener I've ever had who wants to run things according to his own personal likes and dislikes. Usually they take my orders. But as long as you insist on being an exception, we'll make a little bargain. You and I.
Bargain, sir?
Yes. You say this tree here hasn't borne fruit because it hasn't had a chance. I say this tree is a worthless parasite on my land. We'll find out which one of us is right.
You'll give the tree a chance?
That's only part of the bargain.
Why, what do you mean?
You'll have your chance to take care of this tree. If it bears fruit under good care, I'll reward you in some way. But if it turns out that I was right, and this tree is worthless, then you'll have to be looking for a new place.
But, sir...
Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now get to work. And maybe next time you won't be so quick to correct your superiors.
Don't you like the meal, dear?
Oh, I didn't say anything, did I?
But you're not eating.
I don't feel like it, that's all.
You could tell me.
Tell you what?
Well, if there's something wrong, you could tell me.
Wrong? Who said there was anything wrong?
Well, then you don't have to become so angry.
Oh, yes, there is something wrong. Why I ever thought I could keep it from you, I don't know.
You've done something? Abner is displeased.
It wasn't wrong. No matter what happens, it wasn't wrong.
What do you mean, no matter what happens? What could happen?
Oh, I had no right to do it. I had no right to jeopardize your security. About myself, I don't care, but I should have thought of you. I should have swallowed my pride. Should have said that I was wrong.
Not if you thought you were right. That wouldn't be honest.
You don't know what might happen. We may have to leave here, Ruth.
Leave here? But you said that...
Sure, I said. But I forgot what I said. When Abner told me to take out the fig tree, I should have done it instead of telling him it needed water and care.
But you didn't. And I'm glad.
Glad? Even though it means we may have to move from here? Go out on the road again looking for a place to work? A place to live?
If you believed you were right not to tear it up, I'm glad you said so. I don't want you to be a slave to what I feel. Don't surrender your right to be a man just to keep a roof over my head. I won't ask that of you ever.
I know what it means to you.
If we have to leave, we'll leave. That's all. That's all there is to it.
Ruth. Please, dear, I know how you feel.
Nathan, I'm sorry I began to cry. Couldn't help it.
Oh, if there were anything I could do, but there isn't. I offended Abner, and he was quick to resent it. It isn't though I had a hand in making the bargain. I had no choice.
I know. And as long as it's made, there's only one thing for us to do.
We won't leave.
But I didn't mean we should run away. I meant that we ought to do our best to save that tree. If what you said is true, that it can be saved.
You mean you'd help me?
And why not? It's our marriage, our home. Why shouldn't we both work for it?
Then we will.
We could start right now.
No, at night?
You said the tree needs water. We'll give it water, day and night. We'll work for what we both want, and we'll start now.
Here are 2 more skins of water, Ruth.
You should rest a while. It's a long walk from the well to the vineyard. And with 2 heavy bags of water.
Now, don't worry about me. I'm used to hard work. But you should have been in bed hours ago.
These will be the last 2 bags.
Then let me pour them. You rest.
Oh, I can do it. I'm strong enough.
You're not nearly as strong as you are determined. Here, now let me do it.
All right.
Fruit must grow. It must.
It will.
Oh, if only I hadn't said anything.
It's too late to look back now. You said it. We'll work hard. The fruit will grow.
Ruth.
Yes.
It wouldn't be fair to make you feel so sure that disappointment might be too great.
Disappointment?
There are trees that never bear fruit.
Barren trees?
Yes, I've seen some during my time on the farm. No one knows why. They seem perfectly healthy, but somehow they never bear fruit.
Is this one of them?
You never know. Time's the only way to find out. Time and proper care.
We'll do what we can.
I only wanted you to know what might happen. I wouldn't want you to feel betrayed or disappointed in me. The last thing in the world I'd want would be for you to suffer because of me.
I know that you love me, Nathan. And because I do, I know everything else you're trying to tell me. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. Now, if you're finished, we can go back to the cottage.
Back home, you mean?
Yes, dear. Back home. For your lunch, Nathan. If you don't drink it soon, it'll get warm.
Just a little while, dear. The earth must be turned over around this tree, and I want to finish it before I stop.
Has anything changed in the past 2 weeks?
Well, nothing that I can see.
Usually it takes more time, doesn't it?
Well, you can't tell.
You mean if there were going to be fruit, some signs might have appeared already?
Oh, I don't know. You can't tell about things like this.
But it doesn't look too good.
Now, please, dear.
Stop and have your milk, Nathan.
Well, maybe I'd better.
Here. You'll work better after you've had a cool drink.
Yes, Oh.
What is it, Nathan?
He's coming this way.
Abner?
Yes, he's coming here on his usual inspection. Maybe you'd better leave. Go that way so that you won't have to pass him.
I'll go.
Just a moment. I've wanted to meet you, my dear.
Oh, me?
Come here, Ruth.
So this is your wife, Nathan?
Yes, sir. My wife, Ruth.
Fine-looking girl. And from what I've heard, a great help to her husband.
You heard?
Yes. In a way, it was funny, too. 2 people had been seen prowling around the vineyards at night. I had Ephraim posted one night to watch and see if they might be people who would mean some harm. But I heard it was you and your husband.
There's nothing wrong.
Oh, but 2 grown people sitting up with a sick fig tree. Well, doesn't that amuse you? Even a little? Huh?
It's not funny to my husband and me.
Ruth, please.
Now, let's have a look at it. More leaves. Thicker foliage.
We've done what we could.
But, let's see. Fruit. I don't see any fruit.
It takes time.
There should be some signs, at least, if a fig tree is going to produce in season. It should be showing something by now. Isn't that right, Nathan? You know all about trees. Tell me.
Yes, sir. It should be showing signs, and it isn't. I may be wrong. This tree may never bear fruit. But I still wouldn't feel I'd done my job if I'd let you uproot it.
Of course, of course. And I only want to remind you that when we have the harvest feast, you and all the other gardeners will have to come and sow your produce. I'll be on the lookout for the fruit from this tree. Need I say more?
No, sir. I understand.
Good day, Nathan. And good day to you, my dear.
Oh, Nathan.
Feast time, I invite all my servants to eat, drink, and celebrate the blessings we draw from the soil. But first, before we celebrate, we shall take an accounting of the results of the season's work. All gardeners are to line up here with samples of their finest produce. And now, first, you, Simeon, samples of the grain from your field.
Abner, for 34 years I have been bringing my produce to the head of this family. Your grandfather, your father, and now you. And I can say that never have I shown finer grain than this.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, pick up a handful, Abner. Feel its firmness and its weight.
Yes, I can see. There, very good, Simeon. Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
Simeon, there will be a special reward for you later.
Thank you, sir.
Next. Jonathan. The olives?
Yes, sir. The olives here in this bowl. First look at them, then test them for oil. I have no more to say.
You feel sure of your crop?
Oh, I only ask you to put them to the test. Examine one.
I will. Excellent. So full of oil. When you press one of these olives, it's like tipping a jar. The oil flows freely. Very fine. Next. Well, who's next? Nathan, my big gardener. Step up, Nathan. Show me what you have produced.
Well, yes, sir. Here, I'll uncover this tray of figs. Would you taste these, sir?
Mm-hmm. Let me see. This one. Yeah. Good. Very good. As good as we had last year.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, but wait. You and I have a special bargain, don't we? There were some special figs in which I was interested. The very tree which you and your wife have cared for. Have you any figs to show from that?
The fruit of that tree, sir, is here, in this other tray.
Let me see. I don't believe it.
Look, taste.
Let me have one of those. Well, they're big. Even bigger than the others.
Yes, sir. And the taste...
Never mind. I think you're playing a trick on me.
No, sir, if you'd like to see the...
I would indeed. And if this is a trick, you'll be punished accordingly. Come with me. And you too.
You can see, Abner. Here it is. And the branches are hung heavy with fruit. Is this a trick?
I can't believe it. Amazing.
We didn't believe it ourselves at first, did we, Ruth?
No. When the fruit first began to appear, we thought it wouldn't grow. We thought it would die on the branches. But it didn't. The harder we worked, the larger and firmer the fruit became. Till now, this tree is the finest fruit of all.
And I laughed at the two of you. I was going to make you leave my estate for trying to correct me. And all the while, I was wrong. Well, we must make up for that.
It's all right, then. We won't have to leave.
Leave? A man who can raise such fruit from this tree? I'm thinking now of giving you more responsibility, more opportunity to use your talent. A man as courageous as you are to risk your future in order to seek truth is a very valuable man indeed. A man to be trusted.
Thank you, Abner. It's as I said, sir. The fault wasn't in the tree. It was in the conditions under which the tree was raised. When the conditions were improved, the tree produced fruit. All it needed was a chance.
And so you see, my dear woman, that's what the master would say about your son.
A story about a fig tree. What's that to do with my good-for-nothing son?
When the master told that parable, he wasn't talking about fig trees. He was talking about people. All people.
Not my son. What he needs is punishment.
Will you tell me the boy is bad any more than the fig tree was bad?
No.
Well, then the conditions may be to blame. Isn't that so?
True, he didn't have a father for most of his life.
A boy can miss his father in many ways. He can miss a father's guidance and companionship.
I know. And with my having to work to keep us alive, well, I haven't been too good a mother either.
You see, a boy needs love and attention and guidance. Just as a tree needs water, good soil, and care. We can't punish the boy any more than we could cut down the tree without giving it a chance under good conditions. You've got a good boy here, woman. He needs another chance. A fair chance to show how good he is. He needs help, not punishment. And I'll help you with it. We should all be quick to help and not so quick to condemn without understanding. As the master himself would say,
judge not, that ye be not judged. Behold, these 3 years I come seeking fruit on this fig tree, and find none. Let it alone this year also, till I shall dig about it, and water it. And if it bear fruit, well.
A reporter at Fatima.
My name is Gordon Parker. I'm a foreign correspondent. My last assignment was Moscow. My reporting stint in Russia lasted 3 years. I ran into trouble there a few months ago. Why, I don't know. Maybe I was too rough for them. They like to give the world a rosy impression of life in Russia. I wrote it the way I saw it. Anyway, the Wire Association finally had to assign another correspondent to Moscow, and I got a plane ticket to Lisbon. I reported to the manager of our Lisbon office.
I thought you'd be anxious to hear about your next assignment.
Rome or Paris?
Paris, but not right away. First, a brief assignment here.
In Portugal?
Fatima.
Where?
Fatima. Surely you've heard the story of Fatima.
What? That happened 40 years ago.
No, the Wire Association wants a complete background story.
From me? Why me? I don't know the country, the language beats me, and I hardly know the story of Fatima.
Well, that's the idea. Our correspondents in Portugal grew up with the story. We have prejudices, for or against it. What they want is a fresh study without bias or color.
I still don't get it. The whole world is likely to blow up, and they send me on a dead story.
Well, not dead, my friend. Part of what was revealed to the children has never been made public. It will be in 1960.
I thought all the kids were dead.
No, one still lives. A nun in a convent at Coimbra. The feeling is the message will affect the world.
Do you believe that?
No, that's immaterial. Let's just say there's a good deal of public interest in what that sealed envelope contains. And you're assigned to do a fresh story on all the events leading up to its release. If you've got any complaints, wire New York.
That's how I got my assignment to Fatima. I figured the key to the story was the message to be made public in 1960. It was in possession of the Bishop of Leiria, whose diocese includes the town of Fatima. So I phoned for an interview and was told to come the next day.
You're welcome, Mr. Parker, though I'm not sure I can be of service to you.
You do have the secret portion of the message in your possession.
That is correct.
What can you tell me about it?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Not until 1960.
Oh, can you tell me the nature of the message?
No, Mr. Parker.
How does it come to be in your possession?
In 1936, I asked Sister Maria Lucia...
That's one of the three children who saw the vision?
The only one still living, yes.
Uh-huh.
I asked Sister Maria Lucia to write a full account of the apparitions. The world has since been given most of what she wrote down, except for the final portion. It will be kept secret until 1960.
Yeah, but the children first heard the messages in 1917. Why didn't they tell everything right away?
They did, all except a small portion they were told to keep secret until later.
Why, I wonder?
Obviously, some parts of the secret message would have meant little to anyone if they were revealed immediately. Only when world events took shape after many years would they become clear and significant. And remember this, the oldest child was only 10 years old when they heard the messages. Their immature minds would have been incapable of understanding, much less relaying all that they heard. Not until they reached maturity. And only one of them did. Only then could they transmit parts of the message intelligibly.
Then you believe the secret message will have meaning for the world today with the Cold War and the Russian threat?
I cannot answer that.
I'd like to start at the beginning. What were the children like?
Ordinary peasant stock. They couldn't read or write. Lucia was the eldest, only 10, and the others were her cousins, Francisco Mato, a boy of 9, and his sister Jacinta, 8 years old. They were shepherds. That's how they came to be in the meadow that day they first saw the apparition.
Tell me about it.
I would gladly, but for your purposes, I think you should find the facts elsewhere. You'll be more convinced learning the facts from people who don't want to believe, but can't deny the facts.
That was fair enough. So I started digging. I got most of the story from the newspaper morgues. Discarding all rumor and hearsay and just laying down the facts, this is the way the story starts that first day, Sunday, May 13th, 1917. About noon that day, the three kids guided their sheep out to a meadow, a place called the Cova da Iria, which was on the farm Lucia's father owned. Something very strange happened that day, something that made the kids so awestruck they decided not to tell anybody about it. But when they went home, the youngest one, Jacinta, couldn't contain it. She blurted out the story. Her father, a man named T. Marto, didn't believe it, but went over to Lucia's house to get to the bottom of it. Lucia's mother, Maria Rose, opened the door.
Oh, come in, T. Did you have your supper?
Yes, Maria.
Oh, come in.
Maria, did Lucia tell you anything that happened today?
Huh? What's that girl been up to now?
Well, no, it's nothing she did. I don't know how to say it, but Jacinta and Francisco...
Well, what about your precious children?
Well, they said they saw the Blessed Virgin.
The Blessed... Oh, nonsense. And you believed them?
Well, no, but... Well, they've never lied before.
All children lie.
Yes, I suppose. Well, did Lucia say nothing?
Lucia, come here.
Yes, Mama?
Now, your cousins have been telling fibs at home. They said they saw...
They told.
Told what?
They promised they wouldn't.
Lucia, tell your uncle you saw nothing.
I can't tell him that, Mama.
Are you saying you did see something?
Yes.
What? Be careful now.
I saw a lady.
And who was the lady, Maria?
Don't be afraid. Tell us.
There was lightning. I think it was lightning. We thought a storm was coming, so we ran under a tree.
There was no storm today.
It wasn't a storm. When we looked up, there was like a ball of light, and a lady was standing on it.
You'll get another if you don't tell the truth.
It is the truth. The lady was all white, brighter than the sun.
Did she speak?
Don't encourage her, T.
Now, go on.
I don't want to.
Now, what did she say?
She said, "Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you."
That's all?
I asked where she came from, and she said, "From heaven."
Lies. All lies.
No, they did see something. Go on, Lucia.
I asked why she'd come, and she said, "I have come to ask you to come here at the same time on the 13th day of each of the next 5 months. In October, I will tell you who I am and what I want."
Now that's all. Into bed.
Yes, Mom.
I'll be right up. T. Marto, you're a fool listening to her.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
Well, I'll get the truth out of her. And tomorrow morning you'll admit you're a fool.
But Lucia and the others stuck to their strange story. Francisco said he saw the lady, but couldn't hear her. His sister, Jacinta, said the lady spoke to Lucia, but she could also hear what was said. Lucia said the lady spoke directly to her. The story spread fast. Everybody took turns questioning them, including the village priest. But nobody could shake the kids. June 13th, their next day to visit the cova, fell on the feast day of St. Anthony of Padua. It was a great day of fiesta in the village, and all the kids waited for it like ours do for Christmas. To go to the cova instead meant missing the fun, but they went anyway. So did their parents and about 50 villagers. They saw the children kneel and then heard Lucia speaking to someone. Some of the witnesses said they saw a small cloud hovering over the treetops and a sound like a horsefly in a bottle. But that's all. After it was over, the kids were taken to Father Ferreira, the village priest.
You claim you saw the lady, too?
Yes, Father. She was very beautiful.
What did she say?
Jacinta told you.
I want you to tell me. Now, Lucia, you were heard to ask, "What do you want me to do?" Now, the truth. Did she answer?
Yes. She said, "I want you to come here on the 13th of the next month and to say 5 decades of the rosary every day."
Well, why should she say that? Is it likely that a lady should appear to tell you to do something you and everyone else in the village already does?
I'm only telling you what she said.
All right, go on.
She said, "I want you to learn to read. I will tell you later what my wishes are."
Anything else?
I asked her she'd come to take us to heaven.
What an imagination.
She said, "Yes, I will come soon to take Jacinta and Francisco."
You mean to heaven?
Yes. But she said to me, "You will have to stay here much longer. Jesus wishes to use you to make me known and loved. He desires to establish devotion to my Immaculate Heart throughout the world."
Why should she say such things to you? Aren't there more worthy people?
Yes.
Then tell the truth. All right. Wait outside and tell your mother to come in.
I don't believe her either.
And what about you, Timato?
Father, I think they believe what they say, but perhaps it's only in their minds.
You mean an illusion? No, I don't think so. I believe they did see something.
Don't be taken in, Father.
I'm not sure what they saw was holy. There are evil things in this world. Even adults are taken in. Children all the more so.
This frightened Lucia so much when she heard about it, she resolved never to go back to the cova. By the time July 13th came around, Lucia's fears suddenly vanished, and she decided to go back after all. When they got there, this time they found some 4,000 or 5,000 people waiting. Again, the crowd saw the children kneel and heard Lucia speaking, then listening. And after a while, they saw the children suddenly go pale and cry out. Then again, the children listened intently. That's when the government stepped in. The public administrator of the prefecture was a man named Arturo de Oliveria Santos. He sent for the children, but T. Marto showed up instead.
Why didn't you bring the children?
I want to know why you want them first.
To question them, you fool.
Question me. They told me everything.
Oh, no, my friend, we both know they're lying. I intend to make them admit it.
Well, there's nothing to admit.
You put them up to this, you and the church.
The priest doesn't believe them either.
So he says. We shouldn't have left any priests in Portugal.
You left few enough.
You people you don't understand. We've done you a service ridding you of priests.
And for this you expect our thanks?
Yes, we do. We've taken the church off your backs. Don't you understand? Your religion is the main cause of your wretchedness. Help us, and in another generation we'll wipe it out.
You don't want it wiped out.
Only because of superstition. And now you're playing their game. That's why they put the children up to this. To make people think there really is a God. And that he sent his mother to keep you in the faith.
So that's why she's come.
Idiot.
Of course.
All right. Now go and bring back the children immediately.
Not if you mean them harm.
You think we're barbarians? But wait. All right, if you're frightened, I'll go to them. Yes. Expect me just before August the 13th, when they're to see the lady again.
The day before the children were to visit the cova for the fourth time, Santos showed up as promised. He questioned Lucia closely on what she had been told on the previous visit.
And what did you ask the lady then?
What she wanted me to do.
And she said?
That I was to come again on the 13th day of next month.
That's tomorrow morning.
Yes.
And you're going?
She asked me to.
Yes, of course. What else did she say?
I was to continue to say the rosary every day, to obtain peace for the world and the end of the war.
You mean the Great War will end if you just say your beads?
She meant for everyone to say the rosary every day.
Even me?
Yes.
And the Great War will end?
She said she alone could bring it about.
What a fine way to end a war, by saying your beads.
You don't believe me?
Would you if you were me?
I asked her to make a miracle so that everyone would believe.
And what did she say?
She would.
She would. When?
She said, in October I will tell you who I am and what I want, and I will perform a great miracle so that everyone will believe you.
Well, isn't that fine? And do you think she will?
Oh, yes, she said she would.
And other people will see this miracle?
Oh, yes.
But what if they don't?
They will.
But if they don't, that will end all this nonsense, won't it?
But she said they would.
We'll see. Now, little girl, one last question. Why did you turn pale and cry out when you saw the lady last time?
She showed us something.
Something bad?
Yes.
What?
A great fire with demons and people burning in it. They groaned and they screamed and they made us afraid.
You mean you saw the fires of hell?
Yes.
Now, why would a nice lady show that to little children?
She said, you have seen hell where the souls of poor sinners go. To save them, God wishes to establish in the world devotion to my Immaculate Heart. If they do what I shall tell you, many souls will be saved and there will be peace. She said the great war is drawing to its close.
The great war is coming to an end. She told you that?
But she also said, if people do not cease offending God, there will be a worse war in the reign of the next Pope.
Another war. World War II, when the first isn't over yet.
That's what she said.
Do you know what happens to little girls who lie? Never mind. What else did she say?
I can't tell you.
Can't tell me?
No.
Did the priest put you up to this?
No.
Tell me, little girl.
I can't.
I can make you tell, but not now. I'll give you a little time to think. But when I come again, if you don't tell me the secret, you'll die.
Santos came back the next morning. He told the children that he was taking them personally to the cova. But once out of sight of their parents, he turned his automobile around and carried them away. So that day, August 13th, 18,000 people arrived in the cova to learn that the children had been put in jail. There, Santos bullied and cuffed them without success. Finally, he threatened to put them in boiling oil unless they told their secret. He took Jacinta away first. and came to tell the other two that he had thrown her in the boiling vat. Next, he took Francisco. Lucia was terrified, but prepared to die rather than tell the secret portion of what she had heard. When Santos saw this, he gave up. He might have been even more brutal, except he feared the wrath of the crowd. The 18,000 people who were disappointed at the cova that day had left money on a huge table there to build a shrine. Although the fourth visit did not happen on schedule, a week later, when the children were home, again tending their flock, they said they had another visit from the lady.
The lady was very angry with those who had kept us away. I asked her what was to be done with the money. She said some was to be used for celebrating the feast of Our Lady of the Rosary and the rest for building a chapel. I asked her again for a miracle, and she said again that she would grant it in October.
The fifth and next to last visit was scheduled for September 13th, 1917. On the appointed day, upwards of 30,000 people jammed the Cova da Iria to witness it. Again, the crowd saw the children kneel and listen. And again, the message told by the children, the persistent, recurring message, peace through prayer, peace through the rosary. And now about the final visit and the miracle. The suspense was great and nationwide. A miracle was promised, one all could see. What it would be, nobody knew. How many people do you think turned up that day? 70,000. 70,000 people who wanted to see a miracle, or not to see one and laugh at the children's story. Most of the newspapers sent reporters, so if you want to dispute what happened, you've got to dispute the word of trained, objective, and disinterested reporters. In checking out the story, I even took into account that some of the reporters were prejudiced. Just to make sure, I stuck with the reports from the newspapers who were unfriendly to the church and who, given half the chance, would have exposed the whole thing for a hoax. One of these newspapers was O Seculo, published in Lisbon and read everywhere. To get their story of what had happened that day, I called on the present-day editor of O Seculo.
Good afternoon, Mr. Parker. I received your telephone call, and I think I've got the story you want here. A remarkable story.
Do you believe it?
How can I doubt it? My own father wrote the story. He was editor of O Seculo in 1917. And even if I didn't know him to be an honest reporter, there were too many eyewitnesses to fake it.
Was your father prepared to see a miracle?
You didn't know my father, Mr. Parker. Just the day before, he'd written a derisive report ridiculing people for expecting anything of the kind. He went to Fatima for the pleasure of seeing that nothing happened.
But he did see something.
He and thousands of others. He had no choice but to write what he saw. Why are you smiling, Mr. Parker?
Well, as a correspondent, I just wondered how I'd feel in his place if I had to send back a story saying, I saw the sun dance.
Yes, he saw the sun dance. Shall I read you what he wrote that day?
Please.
My father wrote, a unique and unbelievable sight. The vast crowd looked up at the sun. It was like a dull silver plate. It neither burnt nor dazzled. Then a tremendous clamor broke out from the crowd. With bared heads, full of terror, they gazed at the sky. The sun trembled and made some abrupt movements never seen before and outside all the laws of the universe. And he concludes, it now remains for those qualified to do so to explain this fantastic dance of the sun. Well, that's the substance of my father's report, Mr. Parker.
Some I've read are even more graphic.
Yes, I know. I've read them.
Of course, the sun couldn't have plunged toward the earth. The sun is stationary.
Yes, I agree, Mr. Parker. I can't explain it. Neither can the scientists. We only know it did happen.
Well, it could have been mass hallucination.
Yes, if the thousands there had known what they were expected to see, but they didn't.
That's true.
It may also interest you to know that some among the 70,000 saw nothing. I don't know what that means, except that it would rule out mass hallucination. Moreover, people 30 to 50 miles away saw it. They weren't part of the crowd. They were alone. So it couldn't be a form of crowd suggestion. And what happened there was seen only in a limited area around Fatima. The people elsewhere in the world on whom the same sun was shining saw nothing.
I'll have to think about it for a while.
Welcome to the club. I've been thinking about it all my life.
The miracle witnessed by the 70,000 was remarkable enough, but nothing to compare with what the children say they saw that day.
The lady appeared again and said to me, I am Our Lady of the Rosary. The Rosary must be said every day. Men must amend their lives and ask for forgiveness for their sins. Let them cease to offend our Lord, for he is already offended too much. And then I saw the Holy Family, St. Joseph and Mary and the infant child.
So ends our report on the events of the year 1917 at Fatima, Portugal. But the story doesn't end here. I checked up on what happened to the children. First on Jacinta and her brother, Francisco, who said the lady had told them she would soon take them to heaven. Within 2 years of the vision, both were dead. The third child, Lucia, who was told to learn to read and write so that she might serve God, became a Carmelite nun. Almost 20 years later, she wrote down a full account of what she had been told, including the secret portions. Part of this was revealed at that time.
I asked for Russia to be consecrated to my Immaculate Heart and for the communion of reparation on the first Saturdays. If my request is heard, Russia will be converted and there will be peace. If not, Russia will spread her errors throughout the world, causing wars and persecutions of the Church. Good people will be martyred. The Holy Father will have much to suffer, and several nations will be destroyed. The Holy Father will consecrate Russia to me. She will be converted, and a period of peace will be granted to the world.
In 1943, the Vatican acted on the message. Pope Pius XII consecrated the whole world to the Immaculate Heart with special mention of Russia. The final secret portion of the message of Fatima will be made public in 1960. Well, that finished my assignment to Fatima. But hardly a day goes by that something doesn't happen to make me think of it. The idea that wars are punishment for mankind's sins. The idea that prayer can bring peace. I've lived my life in an era of wars, and in fear that the big one might be touched off. We spend a great deal of time and energy and money trying to prevent war and preserve the peace. Doesn't seem to be enough, does it? I'm going back to Fatima in 1960 for the last part of the story.
Our Lady of Guadalupe. This is the story of a humble man who loved God, who loved his son, and who loved Our Lady.
Juan? Is that you, Juan?
Oh, Antonio, I'm sorry that my moving about the room has wakened you. I'm starting now for the church.
But it's still dark.
I know the way. And there'll be morning stars to guide me, Antonio.
This December wind is cold.
I have my cloak. I'll wrap it close about me.
And you're no longer young, Juan Diego. And this tramping the miles to go to what the Spaniards call a mass.
This walk is nothing. Why, when my wife Maria was still alive, we lived 15 long miles from the church.
And walked it regularly.
Yes. For 7 years I have crossed the hill to worship as the Padres taught me. Ever since the year of our Lord, 1524. Antonio, I was one of the first to be baptized in the faith which the Spaniards brought to Mexico.
I know, but even so, you must take care. Someday, as you cross that mountain top...
What could happen to me on a mountaintop? I'm an Indian, poor, no longer young. What could happen to me?
What could possibly happen to me? Something did happen to Juan Diego that December morning more than 4 centuries ago. Perhaps it was because of what his friend Antonio had told him before he left the small house. Perhaps it really was unusually bleak that morning. But at any rate, the way seemed very long and cold. He wrapped his cloak about him, but the wind cut through and seemed to bite into his flesh. The stones were sharp, too. They bruised his feet, covered only by the soft leather of the huaraches he had made. But more frightening than all was a strange, mocking voice that seemed to come from the wind.
Go back, Juan Diego. Go back to your home.
Miserable as he was, Juan bent his head against the bitter air and continued to climb the steep, barren hillside.
The wind. It takes one's breath away. It's never seemed this cold before. The hill has never been so steep. It's never looked so cruel, so ugly. But I won't turn back. I won't.
Juan kept on, slowly, steadily, but suddenly he stopped, for the darkness had lifted, and with the flood of light had come music. Soft, sweet music. Celestial music. For a moment, Juan Diego stood still, too startled to speak, too startled to think. Then,
What is it? What happened? Am I dreaming? Have I died? Who is playing that music? Where am I?
Juan Diego, do not be afraid.
But who are you? Where are you?
I am here at the top of the hill. Come up. Talk to me.
I see you now. I shall be there at once. I heard the music and saw the great light, but at first I did not see you.
Where are you going, my son?
Why, I'm going to the church. I always go at this time. But this morning,
Yes. What were you going to tell me about this morning?
I was going to say that it was cold, and that the wind had voices that tried to tell me to turn back. But here on the hilltop, the world is very bright. The bare trees seem to have turned to gold. That mesquite is like emerald, and...
Yes, Mom.
This place has never been so beautiful before. Not even in spring. You are beautiful, too. More beautiful than anyone I've ever seen. Who are you?
I am Mary, Queen of Heaven, and there is a message I want you to deliver for me.
Mary, Queen of Heaven. Yes, my lady. Anything you tell me shall be done.
Go to the bishop in the city of Mexico and tell him I have been watching over my people here in this newly discovered land. Tell the bishop that here, at this spot where you and I spoke, he is to build a church where those who love my son and me may come to invoke my help in time of trial or sorrow.
You want me to go to the bishop, my lady? Well, he's such a great man.
Do not be afraid, my son.
I'm not afraid. But wouldn't the bishop be more willing to listen if one more worthy were to carry your message?
Go and do your best, Juan, and I will be grateful and reward you. Do you remember the message?
Yes, my lady. I'll go at once.
Oh, that knocker. There's always someone pounding at the outer door.
Yes, and at this hour. Don't answer it, Carlos. Pretend you didn't hear.
I can't do that. I'm the major domo for the bishop, and he has given orders that everyone is to be admitted. All right. Give me time to open the door. Oh, so it's you doing all the pounding. Well, what is it?
Is this the bishop's palace?
This is the palace of Don Fray Juan de Zumaraj, first Bishop of Mexico, yes.
I have a message for the bishop.
So? Well, he's busy now. Why don't you leave the message with me and go on your way?
I don't think the lady would want me to give it to you, only to the bishop.
No, it's from a lady, and too important for my ears. Well, the bishop is busy.
I can wait.
He is...
May I sit down? I've come a long way.
You might as well let him sit down.
It's something unimportant. If I keep him standing, he may grow tired and go on his way.
I will wait, even if I have to stand. The lady told me to give the message to the bishop. I must wait until I do.
Well, all right. Come into the patio and sit down. The bishop will see you presently.
Now, I don't quite understand your story, my son. Your name is...
My name is Juan Diego, and I have been living in Tepeyac.
And this morning, when you were on your way to Mass, you met a beautiful lady who told you she wanted a church built on the summit of the hill you were climbing. Is that all?
Yes, Your Excellency. I was climbing the hill. It was cold and bare.
Hills are apt to be cold and bare at this season of the year.
But suddenly there was a great light and music. And then I saw the lady. It was the Blessed Virgin. And she told me to give the message to you.
I see. Well, thank you very much, Juan Diego. I will think about all you've told me.
But you will build a church, won't you, Your Excellency?
I hope to build many churches. Now, if you'll excuse me.
You don't believe me, do you? None of you believe me. You're all laughing. Laughing at me. Oh, my lady. I knew I'd find you here, my lady. I went to the bishop. I gave him the message. He didn't believe me. He was kind, but the others, they laughed at me. The fine ladies and gentlemen, the servants, everyone, they laughed at me. I can still hear them. The bishop was kind. He spoke softly. But he thought I was just an old man who dreamed up a wild story. Oh, you should have sent someone better able to talk to the bishop.
No, my son. You are the one to carry the message. Go to the bishop again tomorrow give him my message again. And when you have talked with him, come back to me here on the hilltop.
He is still waiting, that Indian.
I know.
But, Carlos, it is almost noon. He's been here for 2 hours. Soon it'll be time for the siesta.
Oh, what of it? The bishop has no interest in that fellow. Besides, this is Sunday morning, and the bishop has had a lot of callers since he said Mass.
But Juan Diego looks so tired and so patient. Perhaps I could persuade him to go away.
Well, you can try. There he is. He wouldn't leave for me.
The bishop is still engaged, and there are other callers waiting.
I will wait, Senora.
Would you like to leave your message with me or come back some other day?
The message is for the bishop. I will wait.
But you don't understand. It may be several hours before His Excellency can see you.
I understand, Senora. I will wait.
As you wish. But I think you're a stupid fellow. It may be hours. It may be until tomorrow before the bishop is free.
Well, Juan Diego, you're back again. 3 o'clock, and they tell me that you've been waiting since 10.
The waiting is nothing, Your Excellency. Now that you have let me talk with you.
You told me your story yesterday. I said that I would think over what you said.
I am so unworthy, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, if I could only make you understand.
But I do understand, and I promise you to think.
It was the Queen of Heaven who sent me.
You told me about it yesterday.
You must build a church on the top of the hill. She wants a place where all her children can come to her for help. She told me so. She told me I must tell you.
Calm yourself, Juan Diego.
I asked her to find a messenger more worthy.
Calm yourself.
I will try to be calm, Your Excellency. But...
Juan?
Yes, Your Excellency.
You saw no lady on a hilltop.
But I did. She called me. Gave me that message.
The Queen of Heaven would hardly have come to you, Juan. If the Virgin Mary wishes a temple built, she would have commanded one of those who are able to build it for her.
Yes. Yes, Your Excellency. I told her it would have been better to have sent someone else, not a poor man who's growing old. I told her last evening when I went back to tell her what you said.
Wait a minute. You say you went back to the hilltop after you left here yesterday and saw this lady you talk of?
She asked me to come back here again today.
I see.
She will ask me to tell her all that has been said and done here at your palace.
Juan, Why, I can hardly believe that you have talked with the Queen of Heaven, but if this vision is not a part of your imagination, bring me a sign.
A sign?
To prove that your message is true.
Your Excellency, that will be easy. What sign do you wish? I am sure that the lady will give me any I ask for.
Any sign she sends will be acceptable.
Yes, Your Excellency. And now may I go?
No, of course you may go. Carlos.
Yes, Your Excellency.
You heard the way he spoke about the sign?
You think he may be telling the truth, Your Excellency?
I hardly know what to think. Get Ramo and follow Juan Diego to the hilltop, and then hurry back and tell me what you see. Hurry now. Go quickly. You come in. Oh, it's you, Carlos. What news have you?
The man is a fraud, Your Excellency. Ramon was with me. Juan Diego is in league with the devil.
But exactly what happened?
We followed him at a distance, kept him in sight as far as the ravine this side of Tapayac. Then he disappeared in a mist.
A mist? Mid-afternoon?
It was close to the ravine. At one moment, the sky was blue and fair, and then suddenly we were walking in a thick fog.
And you lost Juan?
We went back and forth along the path calling to him. But there was no answer. It was the Prince of Hell who sent that mist, Your Excellency. It must have been the devil. When the mist lifted, Juan was nowhere in sight.
Lost in a sudden mist. Sorcery. But Juan seemed such a simple fellow, so honest.
If it wasn't the devil who hid him from us, who else could it have been?
Who could it have been?
have done well, my son. And tomorrow there will be a sign for you to give the bishop. Go now and rest, but come again tomorrow morning, and I will give you a sign.
Juan Diego?
Yes, I'm here, Antonio. What's happened?
Calamity has come to your family, Juan. While you've been wandering about in the mountains, your Uncle Bernardino has been stricken with a fever.
Bernardino with the fever? The plague? Are you sure?
The village doctor has given him strong herbs, but death comes closer each hour.
But only last evening when I stopped at his house, he was well.
The plague strikes swiftly. He knows the end is near, and he's been asking for you. You were always his favorite.
And he was mine. Next to my wife, I loved Bernardino better than anyone else on earth. It was to be near him that I left my own village after my wife died. I'll go to him.
The stars are growing pale.
Yes. Bernardino is no better.
Sometimes toward morning the fever leaves, but not his.
No, it is not left.
Juan, are you there?
Yes, my uncle. Here is a cloth wet with water from the spring. The cold will ease the pain of your head.
Only death will ease this pain, Juan. Soon it will be growing light.
Yes, my uncle.
You go across the mountain to the church. Find the padre. Ask him to come here.
He's right, Juan.
It is time to call in the padre.
Over the mountain. I'd almost forgotten. I was to meet someone on the hilltop this morning.
But you mustn't go to the hilltop this morning. You must hurry to the padre. You must bring the padre at once. Promise.
Juan Diego, my son, where are you going? Why do you hurry past? Why have you made me come down from the hilltop to talk with you?
I'm sorry, my lady, but my uncle, a good man who has loved your son, is dying, and I must get the padre. I will come to you this afternoon, or surely tomorrow.
Don't be troubled, my son. Bernardino will not die. When you reach home again, you will find that at this very hour, the fever has left him. You do not doubt me, do you, my son?
Oh, no, my lady.
And now, go to the hilltop, and there you will find a sign to take to the bishop.
But the bishop must see me. He told me yesterday to bring him a sign.
And you have one? What is it?
It is for the bishop.
The bishop is busy.
I have waited before.
Are you hiding something in your cloak? Let me see it.
No. Take your hand from my cloak.
Carlos, I think you had better take him to the bishop at once. There's something different about the man today. It may be that he really has a sign.
Yes. Yes, he is different. Bolder. You may come with me now. This way. In this door.
Well, Juan?
I have the sign, Your Excellency. See, here in my cloak, these yellow Castilian roses. I gathered them on the hilltop, on the spot where my lady wants you to build a church.
Yellow roses on a hilltop in December?
My lady told me to knot my cloak at the back of my neck so that it hung like an apron, and then fill it with roses. Did you ever see anything more beautiful?
But, Juan, that painting on your cloak. How did it get there? A beautiful painting on the rough cloth of your cloak.
I don't know, Your Excellency. When I had gathered the roses, she touched my cloak. Oh, the painting is of my lady, as I saw her on the hilltop. The robe is rose-colored like hers. The mantle is blue. And those golden rays, they're like the light that was all around her as she stood there. She has put the picture there as a sign.
Juan, and I doubted you. God forgive me. Our Lady forgive you.
Your Excellency, you do believe me now, don't you? You will build her a church.
I do believe. And I will build a church and worship there. All of the Americas will worship there. Open wide the doors, Juan. Let them come from all parts of the palace, so that all may know it was our Lady.
More than 400 years have passed since the bishop led the first joyful procession to the hilltop where Juan Diego received the message from the Queen of Heaven and gathered roses in December.
She is to be called Our Lady of Guadalupe, Your Excellency.
Guadalupe? But why that name, Juan Diego?
The lady appeared to my uncle Bernardino, and even as she spoke to him, his fever vanished, and she told him that when the shrine was built and the painting she placed on my cloak was hung there, she was to be called Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Our Lady of Guadalupe, patroness first of Mexico, then by the Pope's decree of all of the Americas.
Cooperation with the National Council of Catholic Men presents the Catholic Hour. A group of the Paulist choristers open the Catholic Hour singing excerpts from the Lamentations of Jeremiah the prophet, which are used in the office of Tenebrae on the last 3 nights of the Holy Week. In these Lamentations, Jeremiah weeps over the miseries which his people suffered at the hands of the Babylonians. Monsignor Fulton J. Sheen of the Catholic University of America will now deliver the 16th in his series of 17 addresses on the general subject, peace. His discourse tonight is entitled, The Crucifixion. I present Monsignor Sheen.
Friends, looking out on the four horsemen, spreading death, disease, war, and famine over the earth, we are tempted to ask, why does God let this happen? That is an incomplete sentence from the theological point of view. Finish it, and it reads this way: why does God let this happen to himself? What a different light that casts on the tragedy of war. To realize that in some mysterious way, Christ is living, suffering, thirsty, being imprisoned and dying in us, and that this war is his passion. This does not mean that the historical Christ who was born of Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, and is now glorified at the right hand of the Father, suffers again in the same human nature, for having died once, he can never die again. But it does mean that the Christ who is the head of the body, which is the church, does suffer again. Did not our Lord himself say that anyone who would do anything to one incorporated to him would be doing it unto him? And whosoever receives, he said, one such little child for my sake, receives me. Did he not picture himself as going through the world, hungry, thirsty, imprisoned, and sick, and telling us that those who served the little ones in his name would serve him? As he put it, for I was hungry, and you gave me to eat. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Naked, and you covered me. Sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Apply this now to the world war. Christ's life in his individual human nature is glorified, but Christ's life in his church and all those incorporated to him by baptism is not yet glorified. He is growing to his full stature in us, as he grew to his full stature in the nature he took from Mary. The crucifixion of Good Friday is not only something that happened 1900 years ago, it is something that is happening now, as the cross is erected in our midst today. From a spiritual point of view, there are no national causes. There is only a conflict of those who crucify Christ and those who are crucified with him. Consider first how our Lord is made to suffer today by those who crucify him, by Judas and Pilate and the executioners. Judas still roams the world in the person of all those who were baptized to Christ and called to be one with him, but have fallen away from their high destiny by selling out. In the catalogue of fascism, of Nazism and communism, you will find those who in their youth were signed with the sign of the cross and sealed with the seal of salvation, became like Judas and bargained away their Christian heritage for 30 pieces of silver from the coffers of a transitory political power. Come over the list of other nations, and you will discover that those leaders who either welcomed International Congress of Militant Atheists to their midst, or turned their backs on the rights of religion were those who, like Judas, were once called to be defenders of the faith. Those who do most harm to the cause of Christ are not those souls who are left barren in their naturalness, but those called like Judas to live and move with the Son of God. The Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane still has his lips blistered with a kiss. And in his last gracious love to win them back, he still whispers, Judas, dost thou betray the Son of Man with a kiss? Pilate lives too. He lives in all those teachers and jurors who deny an absolute, who feel that right and wrong are only points of view, who flatter themselves on their broad-mindedness as they allow the mob to choose between Barabbas and Christ, who have a feeling that possibly Christ is the Son of God, but who would not assert it lest they lose favor with Caesar, who, when they are brought face to face unequivocally with divine truth, ask the same question asked by Pilate, what is truth? And then turn their back on it. Put the creed, therefore, in the present tense. Christ is suffering under Pontius Pilate. The executioners still walk the earth, too. Brutal blind forces which ignore the divine, take orders from higher-ups, persecute the Christ in his church, profane his Eucharistic presence, nail his mystical body to a tree, and then with the calmness of their ancestors beneath Calvary, shake and dice, sit and watch, while being enacted before them, they might even throw their own dice. There is the great drama of the world's redemption, and they only sit and watch. But if there are those who crucify, there are those also who are crucified with Christ. Those who are hunted because they believe in him, and of whom our Lord foretold, if the world hate you, know that it hath hated me before you. Yes, he said, the hour is coming for everyone when he who kills you will think that he has done a service to God. And as our Lord suffered on that cross, he looked forward to all times and to all peoples, and offered not only himself but all the members of his church to his heavenly Father. And that oblation we complete in ourselves. And in the language of St. Paul we say, what is lacking of the sufferings of Christ, I fill up in my flesh for his body, which is the church. How can we fill up the suffering of Christ? Was his passion incomplete? Most certainly not. It means that all our sufferings, pains, were in his thoughts on the cross, and were offered to God the Father for us. But they were wanting in the sense that they had not yet been endured in our flesh. That the passion be completed in any soul is necessary that the part assigned to him be realized and actualized in his own body. Each of us, therefore, must finish in his life and in his soul the vision of the dying Christ. The Son of God has given us the sublime vocation of sharing in the fellowship of the cross. He has called each one of us to be a redeemer with a small r, as he is a redeemer with a capital R. To each and every one of us, he says, here is a splinter from the cross that I have been carrying from the foundation of the world. We are not to think, therefore, as God as standing outside the sufferings of the world, apart and aloof, in the untroubled serenity of heaven. God is not a spectator to the drama of suffering. He has come down as its greatest tragedian, and as sin's greatest victim. If he points to a forest and bids us enter, it is because his feet have already made the pathway through the thickets and thorns. If he bids us to take up a cross daily and follow him, it is because he has already borne it on his own shoulders. God is not outside the tears and the tragedy of life. In every pang that rends the heart of a man, woman, or child, God has his share. We cannot meet a cross in our respective ways of life, but that he already took it at the foot of the steps of Pilate's temple and made it the badge of his glory and the symbol of a Christian. We cannot have feet tired and worn from the service of others, but that his own were callous and going about doing good. Nailed to a cross, too, for having been too good. We cannot have the sorrow of losing friends or a mother, but that he himself already felt the rent in his own heart as he left a friend to a mother on the gibbet of the cross. If our lot in war was therefore a lot of tragedy and suffering and sacrifice, it will be done gladly, because he with us is once more redeeming a world. It was this vision that sustained the soldier as he carried his pack. And the true Christian soldier, like Joyce Kilmer, will think of his task in the light of the Passion of Christ. My shoulders ache beneath my pack. Lie easier, cross, upon his back. I march with feet that burn and smart. Tread, holy feet, upon my heart. Men shout at me who may not speak. They scourge thy back and smote thy cheek. I may not lift a hand to clear my eyes of salty tears that sear. Then shall my fickle soul forget thy agony of bloody sweat. My rifle hand is stiff and numb from thy pierced palm, red rivers come. Lord, thou didst suffer more for me than all the hosts of land and sea. So let me render back again the millions of thy gift. Amen. Because we are in Christ, we will try to reproduce, therefore, the sentiments of Christ and his cross. And to those who make us suffer, who nail us to a cross, we will say, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. They thought, O Heavenly Father, they were crucifying a man. And they think now they're crucifying a human institution, when in reality they are, like Paul before his conversion, persecuting you. They do not know that every nail is aimed at thee, O Christ. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. 2 thieves did blaspheme thee on the cross, and yet one of them was saved. Many too are suffering in the world today without solving its mystery in thee, cursing, blaspheming thee from their beds and their battlefields. Give us thy vision, O Jesus, that we may never despair of converting even those who blaspheme thee. Grant that some of them, like the thief on the right, may hear thy words. Amen, I say to thee, this day thou shalt be with me in paradise. From thy cross, O Christ, thou didst commend thy dear mother to thy beloved disciple, and thy beloved disciple to thy dear mother. May we, nailed on our cross like thee, see that when duty fastens us there, that we stay to do thy will, and if need be, make the surrender of loved ones and family. Woman, behold thy son. When darkness did so envelop thy cross, and the sun he didst light at high noon, when suspended between heaven and earth, thou didst feel that both heaven and earth had rejected thee, thou didst never once lose in thy human nature thy hold on God, crying, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Give us strength, O Jesus, when we seem abandoned in darkness and pain, when all seems lost, and the whys of earth are never answered, to cry out in undying confidence, my God, my God. When thou didst turn to me and say, I thirst, thou meant not a thirst for water, but a thirst for love from the hearts thou madest. May the chalice of thy Gethsemane filled with the wine of suffering be unto my lips as salt. Make me thirsty to spread thy name and love before men, so that in the end I may measure my life not by the wine that I drank, but by the wine I poured forth. Under thy cross men challenged, if he is the King of Israel, let him come down, and we will believe. But thou didst stay until the task was done, and in triumph did cry out that the work was perfected. O Jesus, grant that whatever may be my lot in life, whether it be in light or darkness, to hold to my faith, to fight the good fight, to run the course, to stay on the cross until evening comes. Thou didst give thy body and blood to earth. Thou didst give thy mother to John, and John to thy mother. But thy spirit thou didst keep for thy heavenly Father. Grant that I may keep my spirit too, amidst the wars and sorrows of this world, so that at the end I can give it back to thee from whence it came. Let the last word of my life be, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. God love you. O Lord Jesus Christ, who in thy mercy heareth the prayers of sinners, pour forth, we beseech thee, all grace and blessing upon our country and its citizens. We pray in particular for the President, for our Congress, for all our soldiers, for all who defend us in ships, whether on the seas or in the skies, for all who are suffering the hardships of war. We pray for all who are in peril or in danger. Bring us all, after the troubles of this life, into the haven of peace, and reunite us together forever, O dear Lord, in thy glorious heavenly kingdom.
The address you have just heard was entitled The Crucifixion and was delivered by Monsignor Fulton J. Sheen of the Catholic University of America. This was the 16th in Monsignor Sheen's series of 17 addresses on peace. A copy of tonight's talk, or of the Holy Hour booklet described by Monsignor Sheen, may be obtained by writing to the National Council of Catholic Men, Washington, D.C., or to the station to which you are now listening. The Catholic Hour concludes with the singing of the versicle, Christus factus est. Christ was made obedient even unto death. This versicle is used at the conclusion of the Tenebrae services in Holy Week. Mr. Henri Marcoux, the chanter.
Christus factus est pro nobis,
Next Sunday at 6 o'clock, Eastern War Time, Monsignor Sheen will deliver the last in this series of addresses entitled The Resurrection. Your announcer is John Patrick Costello. The Catholic Hour has been presented by NBC in cooperation with the National Council of Catholic Men as a public service, and came to you from New York.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
This is the hour of St. Francis. Do you realize that everything you do, every word you say, makes somebody better or worse? St. Francis of Assisi realized that a long time ago, and he put into the rule he set down as a pattern of life for his third order this counsel: let them strive to lead others by good example. As a matter of fact, that's what he did, and is still doing. Although in his humility he never thought of himself as inspiring anybody. After 700 years, he is still leading thousands to the better life. It's the truth that everything you do either lifts somebody up or drags them down. Take the case of Dr. Joe Walton. This is a true story as told in the Reader's Digest by Octopus Roy Cohen, and brought to you now by the Hour of St. Francis. Up until 5 years ago, we always had just one doctor in Watertown. The sign in front of his house read, Joseph H. Walton, M.D. But everybody called him Uncle Joe. He was that kind of man, and Watertown's that sort of place. Quiet, friendly. Uncle Joe had brought most of the Watertown babies into this world. He was a part of the town we just took for granted, like the post office. And when we heard that a new doctor was coming to town, we started wondering how it was going to change things for us and for Uncle Joe. When this young Dr. Donald Kent came, just fresh out of uniform, he stayed at the hotel while his house was being fixed up. Uncle Joe came to call on him the first day. I was in the lobby when they met, and I couldn't help listening in. Dr. Kent was short and blond, and he had kind of a stiff way of talking. I'm Joe Walton.
How do you do, Doctor? It was good of you to call on me.
Oh, I just dropped by to say hello and tell you that this town needs a bright young man with bright young ideas. If there's anything I can do, just call on me.
Well, that's very gracious of you, Doctor.
Gracious, I'm darn happy to see you here. I've been working like a horse for the last 30 years. Maybe now I'll have time for a fishing trip once in a while.
It was a surprise to everybody in Watertown the way Dr. Kent built up his practice. The young folks especially seemed to go for him. He made Uncle Joe look as out of date as a horse and buggy. We old-timers noticed other differences, especially in the way Dr. Kent talked to his patients. I remember one time I came down with an awful pain in my stomach, and my daughter called in Dr. Kent.
What is the specific location of your pain, Mr. Banks?
Well, location's in the stomach, but the specific...
What is the nature of the pain? Intermittent or persistent?
All I know is it hurts all the time. Can't sleep.
When did you first note its presence?
Well, sitting in the front room after supper, getting ready to...
Describe the nature of your evening meal.
It was a good supper, but I haven't had a mouthful since. I had boiled turnips, fried sea bass, and cabbage. Say, Doc, have you been fishing for bass in William Creek yet?
No. Is there any history of abdominal disorders in your immediate family? What was the nature of your father's last illness?
Well, Doc, I'd say he should have died from eating pickled pig's feet, but he's still alive and kicking. Father of 14, too. Say, Doc, how come you're not married? Nice-looking young fella like you.
I'll leave you a prescription. Take it as directed. If pain persists, let me know. Good afternoon, Mr. Banks.
Well, The next time I got that pain, I called in Uncle Joe.
Sam, you do look kind of peaked. Hurt bad?
Oh, it's killing me, Uncle Joe. I don't know what it came from. I was just sitting down reading the paper after supper.
After supper, huh? What'd you have for supper?
Oh, we had lamb stew and creamed potatoes. Cabbage.
Sam Banks, didn't I tell you 20 years ago that cabbage was poison to you?
Well, yes. Doc, I felt fine before supper. Then afterwards, I got this pain.
Gas.
And
all you got's a bellyache. Only trouble with you is that you like cabbage and it don't like you.
There was another thing about Dr. Kent that the old-timers kept shaking their heads about. He let everybody know that he didn't want to be called unless there was a real emergency. You had to swear on the book that you were dying before he came out at night. One day, Uncle Joe came to see Dr. Kent about this night call business. I got the story from Lizzie Caldwell, who is Dr. Kent's nurse.
Look, son, folks hear about things accustomed to this sort of treatment. You've got to be more available.
Doctor, you know as well as I do that 99% of these 3 a.m. emergencies aren't emergencies at all. I can't keep myself in a state of physical exhaustion, catering to fancied illnesses at fantastic hours.
Oh, I know most of them just think they're going to die, but that's the whole point, son. They're scared to death just thinking about dying. They need you to tell them they ain't.
I'm not unsympathetic, Doctor. But I don't propose to make myself the slave of my patients. I have to reserve some time and strength for research and study. I owe that much to my patients who are really ill.
Look, son, I got a suggestion. You've already got more practice than you can handle, so how about when you get night calls you don't want to take, how about letting me handle them for you?
Why, that's unheard of. You're the senior doctor. I ought to be taking work off your shoulders, not you off mine.
Son, you and I practice medicine differently. I'd like to take those calls. Seems like it'd make us both happier.
Oh? Yes. Yes, I suppose it would help you, Doctor. All right. I'll accept this arrangement.
In no time at all, the word got round that if you were Dr. Kent's patient, you wanted a doctor at some time like midnight or 3 a.m., you got Uncle Joe. Night after night, even when the weather was mighty bad, I'd hear his old car rattling around. Lizzie Caldwell told me Uncle Joe reported every case to Dr. Kent, and the young doctor got mad as a hornet every time.
They're just taking advantage of you, Doctor. Calling you clear over to the crossroad because their kid was throwing a tantrum. 5 trips to the Mastersons because they think their baby might arrive early. You are killing yourself.
I kind of enjoy dropping in on folks I'd never get to see otherwise.
Watertown folks built up quite a respect for Dr. Kent, but they loved Uncle Joe. Well, things went along that way until last spring when we had the accident. The school bus turned over while coming back from a picnic. The kids got spilled all over the road. Somebody sent for Uncle Joe, but when he got there, it was Dr. Kent who was straightening out the awful mess. He gave the orders, and everybody, including Uncle Joe, did just exactly what he told.
Keep the women away from here unless they're nurses. Tell them all the children are out of the bus. Mr. Walters, you drive to the nearest phone, call the county hospital. Tell them to send 3 nurses, anesthetic, fracture equipment, and an oxygen tent to my office immediately.
Dr. Kent, can you take Annie next? I can't get her legs straightened out.
Doctor, I'm trying to stop this boy from bleeding. Make her lie down and keep quiet. Put a coat over her. You men, build a fire. Find some more flashlights. Start putting these children here into the cars. Drive them straight to my office. We can't wait for ambulances.
Kent, some darn fool let Miss Roberts see her boy. She's crazy to know if you can do anything for him.
I'm going down with these operative cases, Doctor. You finish up here. There's nothing serious left.
Yeah, but now here, hold on. What can I tell Miss Roberts?
Tell her I'll do the best I can. I haven't time for hysterical women.
What happened to Dr. Kent's office during the next 24 hours, we got from Uncle Joe, when he could stand to talk about that night at all.
That boy did things only a surgical genius would dare do. We had 8 kids laid out in that office. He took one right after another, going just like a machine. Kept it up for 24 hours with no rest and nothing but a few sips of black coffee and a bite of a sandwich. If it hadn't been for him, we'd have been going to 12 funerals instead of to 4. That boy's not just a doctor. He's a genius.
When Watertown finally got over its shock, Dr. Kent was a hero. Folks still didn't warm up to him. He wasn't that kind of a man, but they idolized him. When the Chamber of Commerce got together to name the town's outstanding citizen, the one who gets a silver cup at the annual banquet, there was only one name mentioned, Dr. Kent. The whole town turned out for the banquet. The mayor gave the cup to Dr. Kent with a nice little speech.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everyone.
Uncle Joe, he doesn't even look excited. He doesn't even look happy. He's not the example kind, Sam. He's happy, all right.
May I have silence for a moment, please? I assure you that what I did at the time of the bus accident is not deserving of any such credit as you are giving me tonight. Please. In every doctor, there is the hope that if a terrible thing must happen, he can be on the scene to display his own brilliance. There was almost an element of selfishness in what I did that night. Now, that accident was one happening of its kind in a period of many years.
Please, God, it'll be the last one.
But that, my friends, is not what is meant by the practice of medicine. You all know that for more than 3 years, I have confined myself to the more interesting phases of medicine and surgery. I have deliberately avoided as much of the unpleasant work as I could. Dr. Walton came to me with a suggestion that he handle such calls as I was unwilling to take.
I'm used to it.
At first, I thought he might be in need of the extra money he would make that way. I was wrong. Dr. Walton has never accepted 1 cent from me or from any of my patients he has attended. Then why did he make those long trips at night when he knew that the patient could wait? Why? My friends, I have finally arrived at the answer.
What's he running on about?
When one of my patients called me frantically at night, I failed to realize one thing. That patient was frightened. His family was terrified by something that they didn't understand, and they needed personal assurance. That I persistently refused to give them. And that is what Dr. Walton has always given. He has been the rock to which you have clung.
Everybody gets scared when they're sick. I always do.
From Dr. Walton, I have learned more about the noblest form of medical practice than is to be found in all the books. Dr. Walton has devoted his life to this town, asking no reward, expecting no recognition.
I'll be darned if the boy don't look like he's about to cry.
So, I ask your permission to give this cup to the man who not only deserves it tonight, but who has always deserved it. I wish to present it to Dr. Joseph H. Walton, with the humble wish that someday I may be even half as great a doctor as he is. This cup belongs to you. Take it, Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe did not get the cup for what he did, but for what he was. His Christian example influenced one man, and through him a whole community. St. Francis of Assisi must love Uncle Joe. Indeed, Uncle Joe in his own way was like St. Francis in his unselfish way of living. And like St. Francis, he inspires us to live unselfishly for God and for our fellow man. This quarter hour has been brought to you by the Third Order of St. Francis.
101 years before the birth of Christ, and the mighty armies of Assyria march out to conquest and to war. Led by King Sennacherib, son of Sargon, their hosts swept westward through Syria, west to the Phoenician shores, crushing all who dared to oppose them. Sidon crumbled before their weight of arms. With Tyre besieged, King Eleusinius fled to the Isle of Cyprus. The cities of Ashdod, Ammon, Moab, and Edom surrendered, and the Assyrian hordes thundered on toward Jerusalem, the holy city of the Jews. There, the last broken but courageous forces of Israel had gathered. Preparations for a final and all but hopeless stand were made under the leadership of Hezekiah, king of Judah.
Sergeant of the guard. What do you see, sentry? Someone comes. Oh, Your Majesty.
Oh, that feather of dust.
Probably a messenger, Your Majesty.
Not one of ours. See those flashes of light?
Yes, sire.
Only Assyrian chariots carry knife blades on their wheels. Notify the captain of the guards. Signal for a parley.
Eliakim.
At your command, Majesty.
Take Shebna the scribe and find out what our pagan friend has on his mind.
I'm Eliakim, keeper of the household of Hezekiah, king of Judea.
Tell your Hezekiah that the great king Sennacherib of Assyria says thus: on what can you put your confidence now? On help from Egypt, that broken reed? On your God Jehovah, who has been powerless against my king thus far? Certainly not on the few remaining men you have.
We have sufficient to...
If each of your men could grasp 10 reins, I and your women and children too, you'd not have enough to hold the horses of our chariots. This is Sennacherib's offer. Kneel before him, surrender your pledges, and he'll give you 2,000 horses, if you have enough men to ride them.
Let us lower our voices, or speak in Syria. It is not wise to discuss treaties in the hearing of those who man the walls.
Indeed. They're the very ones who should hear the words of Sennacherib. Listen, you starving ones. Hear the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. Your one hope is to make peace with Sennacherib. Lay down your arms, and he'll give you food and wine, water from his cistern, lead you to a land of grain and vineyards, a land of plenty. Are you still dreaming that your Jehovah can save you? Ask yourselves, have the gods of other nations saved them from the might of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of Sparvaim? Speak, men of Judah, what is your answer?
Afternoon, as Hezekiah prayed for help, the vast Assyrian hordes advanced on Jerusalem. When darkness had fallen, 2 daring men slipped out by the small gate.
fighting all night.
A dull blade binds in the bone.
Man needs rest before a battle. Think of the loot we'll miss if we're not in the front line by daybreak.
And then he said, think of the loot we'll miss if we're not ready by daybreak.
Had you any chance to count their numbers?
Would have been like counting the blades of grass.
Their campfire stretched to the farthest hills, Your Majesty.
You've done well. Eliakim, see to the sentries. Have the others get all the rest they can. I dare say we'll all be busy very early.
Your Majesty, the prophet Isaiah.
Your Majesty, I've spent much of the day in the temple praying. I was about to go again, perhaps for the last time. Will you come with me?
There is no need, Your Majesty. The Lord Jehovah has given me his answer to your prayers. Thus saith the Lord concerning the king of Assyria. He shall not come into this city, nor shoot an arrow there, neither shall he come before it with shields. For I will defend this city to save it, for mine own sake, and for my servant David's sake.
For mine own sake, and for my servant David's sake.
Even as Isaiah had prophesied, the rising of the sun brought no attack. Only a distant cloud of dust, marking the route of a retreating army. And when Hezekiah led a scouting party to investigate, during the night, the angel of the Lord had struck the camp of the enemy, slaying 185,000. And the few warriors of Assyria who survived fled to their native land. All the people of Judea joined with their king in giving thanks to the Lord. And in the days that followed, the Lord revealed many things to Isaiah, matters of such importance that he had them written down for the guidance of his people.
The Lord has told me, Your Majesty, there will be no more warfare in your lifetime. But in the years to come, there will be great trouble for our land. Jerusalem will be destroyed. Our people will be made slaves. But this will not be for all time, for he promises to send the Messiah, a Savior for all men. The Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. He shall come from the root of Jesse, and the Spirit of Jehovah shall be upon him. And in that day he will stand as an ensign of the people. Unto him will all nations seek. And his resting place shall be glorious.
The years passed by, and the centuries, and all that Isaiah prophesied was fulfilled. Jerusalem felt the iron heel of many conquerors. But through freedom and slavery, bondage and rebellion, the words of Isaiah were not forgotten. He shall come from the root of Jesse, and the Spirit of Jehovah shall be upon him. Centuries later, in the land of Judea, during the reign of Herod the Great, the devout continued to pray for the fulfillment of the promise. In the village of Nazareth, among those who prayed, was a young maiden named Mary.
your betrothed works late.
He is making a chest for our home.
And an angel appeared unto Mary and said, Hail, thou that art highly favored, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with God. Behold, thou shalt bring forth a son, and shalt call his name Jesus. He shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And the Lord God shall give him the throne of his father David, and he shall reign forever. And of his kingdom there shall be no end.
How shall this be?
The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore the child to be born will be called Holy, the Son of God.
Son of God. Behold, the handmaid of the Lord. Be it unto me according to thy word.
Very soon thereafter, Mary left to visit her cousin Elizabeth. Meanwhile, in Nazareth, Joseph was troubled by her departure.
Good afternoon, Joseph.
Good afternoon. Oh, here, let me. There's something I've been wanting to ask you.
Indeed?
Ever since Mary left this morning, does she want to break our betrothal?
Well, she said nothing like that to me. And I'm certain she would have mentioned it if the thought had entered her mind.
Yes, I suppose so.
Didn't I hear her say she loved you when we bade her goodbye?
Yes, she did, but...
But what, Joseph?
Why did she leave so hastily with no word as to how long she'd be gone? And with our wedding date agreed upon? If only your kinswoman had sent for her, if she had been ill, if there had been some reason for her going.
There is a reason, Joseph. The angel of the Lord appeared to her in a vision.
And told her to go? But why? Why Mary?
We cannot question his wisdom. The things he wants us to know, he will disclose at his time. But I'm sure Mary loves you. Well, I'm as sure as I am that she'll come back to us.
And Mary came into the hill country of Judah. Having come to the city of Judah, Mary entered the home of her kinswoman Elizabeth, the wife of Zacharias. And she entered the house and greeted Elizabeth. And Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit and exclaimed, Blessed are you among women. And Mary said,
My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God, my Savior. For he has regarded the low estate of his handmaiden. For behold, henceforth all generations will call me blessed. For he who is mighty has done great things for me, and holy is his name. And his mercy is on those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the imagination of their hearts. He has put down the mighty from their thrones and exalted those of low degree. He has filled the hungry with good things, and the rich he has sent empty away. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, as he spoke to our fathers, to Abraham, and to his posterity forever.
Mary abode with her kinfolk for about 3 months, and then returned to her own home. It was then that she told Joseph of the message given her from God. And Joseph, hearing these things, was deeply concerned. Until one night, when, as he lay asleep, an angel of the Lord came to him and said, Joseph, son of David, do not fear to take Mary your wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. She will bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for it is he who will save his people from their sins. So Mary and Joseph became husband and wife.
Hear ye, to all subjects dwelling in the lands of Syria, Israel, Samaria, and Judea, by command of His Excellency Gaius Caesar Octavianus, august ruler of the Roman Empire, all the world shall be counted, listed, and taxed.
What, more taxes? Is there any end to the taxes?
Silence, you dogs. In obedience to this command, all men and women shall within 30 days return to the cities of their forebearers, there to be enrolled. Failure to obey will be punished by death.
The cities of our forebearers. It won't be an easy journey for you.
I've always wanted to see Bethlehem.
Not long thereafter, Joseph and Mary started the long journey on the road to Bethlehem, the city of their forebearers. At last they saw the lights of Bethlehem in the distance.
Am I a servant? No. Am I a slave? No. I'm your wife and entitled to a little consideration.
Oh, my dear, I know, and my feet hurt too. But with all this business...
Business or no business, I'm going to bed.
You're the keeper of this inn? Yes, my lord, yes. Unfortunately... I need lodging for myself and my family. I'd be honored to supply it, but my rooms are filled to overflowing. One room will do. At any other time, Your Excellency, but with the enrollment going on, half the people of the world on the road, I've already rented the servants' quarters, even my son's room. There's nothing left. Nothing at all. Except I
$3 coppers for a mug of green wine. A silver coin for sleeping space on a mud floor. Another for a piece of this moldy mutton.
Mutton? That's lamb.
It tastes like old camel.
Well, if it isn't fit for your fine taste.
If these splashes, I'll eat my fill if it kills it.
I have to go out for a moment. Now, when I'm gone, give a message to my wife.
Yes, Master.
Tell her to spend the night with her sister. I've just rented our room. Just a moment. If you're looking for lodging, it's not here. The inn's full.
Are you sure?
I should be. It's my inn.
But I must have shelter for my wife.
Well, then ask through the town. Knock on every door.
I have for hours. My wife is going to have a child. It's almost her time.
Oh, I wish I could help. Look, there's a stable down back of the inn. It's not much lodging, but it's better than nothing.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend.
Wait a minute. Here, take this. No point in guiding anyone else to this door tonight.
You can't stay here, Mary. I'll have to find some other place.
This will be quite all right. Please help me down, Joseph. After all, before David was a king, he was a shepherd. He must have spent many a night with his flocks.
That night, in the hills nearby, there were shepherds guarding their flocks.
Here now, youngster, hold still. 11 travelers in that last party. Why, that makes more than 5 scores since the sunset.
You're supposed to be watching the flocks, not counting the people.
Month in and month out, I can see sheep. Once in a lifetime can I see the roads crowded from dawn to midnight.
Even so, you are still watching sheep.
What?
Human sheep. The sheep of Israel. Bidding obedience to the orders of Rome. Trotting peacefully to the governor's shearing pens.
This isn't a shearing, just a tallying. An enrollment. A census taking.
First a tally. Then a clipping. Then a census. Then more taxes.
More taxes? You really think so?
I don't think, I know. With the Romans, it's always been more. And more and more. And will be until our shepherds' crooks turn to spears.
That kind of talk, I don't like it. It can start trouble.
Well, after all, we're part of their empire. They extended their treaty of peace to Herod.
Treaty? A privilege to live on the lands that once were ours, as long as we pay taxes, bow to them, bend their will.
Our time will come. It was promised by our prophets, written in our scriptures, that a Messiah will come to our people.
Yes, but when?
Who knows? We must wait, have patience.
I've waited all my life.
A day and a night. Our people have waited over 700 years. We have had leaders before. Jeroboam the Younger, Judas Maccabee, Hezekiah. It will be well worth 100 centuries of waiting for the greatest of all. In every generation, our young men have said, soon, soon, and dreamed their dreams. I did in my youth, and my father and his father before him. So perhaps will your children and your children's children.
Perhaps.
But as long as we know the Messiah will come someday, our task is to wait.
Wait and be good sheep.
Aye, good sheep, but at least sheep with a hope.
And as they watched over their flocks, lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them. And they were afraid. And the angel said, "Fear not, for behold, I bring you glad tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger." And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly hosts, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill to men."
The child.
Of course.
The Savior. Yes, the Savior.
Then you know.
The angel of the Lord appeared to us tonight in the hills. There were many with him, many, all singing the praises of God. It was a wonder beyond all wonders.
And so to the world God's greatest gift was given, the only begotten Son of God, the Prince of Peace, born of a virgin and cradled in a manger.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The eternal life. The National Broadcasting Company and its independent affiliated stations make free time available to present The Eternal Life, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Our story today, Herzl and the Minstrel, was written by Arnold Pearl. The role of Herzl is played by Santos Ortega.
A lover of beauty, and consequently a lover of the Austrian Alps, especially of a cove in the hollow of a great range, where ice and trees, slopes and peaks blend in perfection. This perfection is called Alt Auste. The music is nice, too, isn't it? The music? There is an ancient accordion player who wanders up and down the Alps, playing for the guests, eking out a few gulden in this fashion, and therein lies a tale. But to begin at the beginning, a few years back, when I first came to Alt Auste, I came to the farmhouse of Ferdinand Leubel, a farmer, a carpenter, and a man who rented out rooms to tourists. It was a lovely farmhouse, restful, just what I wanted. Ferdinand Leubel showed me into one room.
Now, the view from this room, Herr...
Wilson.
Ah, yes, the view. Look for yourself, Herr Wilson. The essence of the Alps.
Lovely. Lovely. But it's too small.
Oh.
Have you got a larger room?
Larger. Larger. Well, this way. But the view is not so good.
Well, I'm a writer. If the view is too good, I spend all day at the window. Show me a poorer view, but a bigger room.
Well, right this way. Be careful to step here. It's a little dark. Now, that's it. You may not like this.
Well, we'll see. Oh, this is fine. This is just... Where did you get that picture?
The big one? You don't like it? I'll hang it in another room if you want me.
Oh, no. On the contrary. I like it very much. A picture of Theodor Herzl. Wonderful.
You knew him, maybe?
No. But he's one of my favorite people.
Oh.
Tell me, why do you hang a full-length picture of Herzl? That must be... How big is it?
6 feet 5 inches.
Excuse me, but the way you say it, are you of his faith?
Must I be, to hang a picture of Herzl? He is also one of my favorite people. I knew him.
No.
In this very room, for 5 years, 1899 to 1903. He stayed here every summer, a week at a time. His vacation.
Is that a fact?
Not only his picture, but, see, there, the bookcase.
Well, they're all... Are they all?
The complete works of Theodor Herzl.
Congress speeches, the Jewish state, the Alpneuland, and the plays.
16 volumes of his dramatic works.
Including I Love You.
Oh, naturally, including I Love You. You like that too, eh? I read them all.
No.
Every one. Some twice, even 3 times. And do you see this desk? His desk. I built it for him. I'm also a carpenter, you know.
That's very nice. His desk,
The only thing is he changed my life.
How do you mean?
Can you stand the story?
Did a writer ever not want to hear a story? I am a writer, you know.
Well, why must you be so sectarian?
Pardon?
Did anybody ever not want to hear a story? A writer or no writer?
I stand corrected.
Yeah. Herzl taught me that.
So, what's the story?
Just a minute. Sit down. Sit down and I'll tell you. Maybe you'd like a cup of tea. It was in 1903, the summer. Herzl had just arrived for his vacation. In the midst of his busiest year, he was ordered to take a vacation. So, naturally, he came here, as he had done for the 4 years before. He was not the only guest here. There was also a couple, a well-to-do jeweler and his wife. And this day, the couple were out on the veranda.
He's here. He's actually here in this very farmhouse.
Who?
Herzl. Who else?
So?
So, he says. So invite him to dine with us.
Why?
Oh, don't be such a fool. Why? He's a big man, a great man. He's as big as Disraeli.
Oh, what's Disraeli to me? Some kind of a social reformer, isn't he? I don't like social reformers.
Oh, don't talk like a child. Socially, he's the biggest thing on the continent. For all I know, in the world. Invite him first to tea with us and then to dinner.
I'm going to take a nap.
You see that beard and that head of hair? You should have such a head of hair.
All right. I should have a head of hair. I'm going to lie down. Call me in an hour.
You're tired?
Yes, I'm tired.
From what?
From sitting. Also from listening about Mr. Albert Herzl.
Theodore Herzl.
Well, that's how tired of it I am.
Now you must understand about Johann, the minstrel. He played an accordion. A poor man, he tried to bring lightness through his music to people. From resort to resort, farmhouse to farmhouse, he came, playing his songs and hoping to be given a gulden or half a gulden or even a tenth of a gulden by the guests. About once every 6 months he came, and this was his day. The couple, the jeweler and his wife, were on the veranda when he came.
Now you've had a nap. Don't be so grumpy. Invite the man over.
Still on this Herzl?
He's only around the veranda on the other side. Oh, music.
With my head, too.
It's very nice. A minstrel. Listen.
Is gefahren handeln. Du verzeihne deine Berufung. Roschine Kerz mit Mandeln.
Good afternoon. Pleasant afternoon. A little concert?
Please, stop it.
What?
That noise. Please, stop that noise.
I'm sorry if I offended you. If you like my music, a little something would be appreciated. If not, I'll be happy to go.
All right. So make yourself happy. Make me happy, too. Go.
Thank you.
Oh, Johann walked around to the other side of the veranda, and there sat Herzl, enjoying the Alps, enjoying the air, enjoying life.
What's that? Music. Oh, well. Hello there, minstrel. Good afternoon. A pleasant afternoon. A little concert? That would be fine.
Manabu al
fragile me va per ma mia salon nei per tob mas mia Yeshua mas mia Yeshua
That's lovely. What's your name, please?
They call me Johann the Minstrel.
Here, Johann. And thank you.
Thank you, sir.
A minstrel.
Huh?
Tell me, how well do you do? Do you earn a living? Are there enough people who appreciate your music?
A few. I earn maybe 5-6 gulden a month.
You have a wife and a family?
Who hasn't?
You can't live on that. What do you need to live?
On 15 gulden, we would be princes. Well, dukes.
People don't always understand, do they?
If there was something else I could do, but I'm an accordion player with 2 children. That's all I know.
Come a little closer, my friend. I have an idea.
Thank you. You aren't...
What's the matter?
You're Herzl.
Do I look that awful?
No, I'm embarrassed.
Embarrassed? Why should you be?
Oh, you're a great man, Mr. Herzl. Dr. Herzl.
My friend, I have an idea. We look alike, don't we?
I was afraid to say it.
But we do.
It's not as if I really looked like you. How could I? I'm just an accordion.
I'm sorry I embarrassed you.
Well, you're such a great man, Mr. Herzl. And to look like me.
Come up and have a cup of tea with me. I'd like to talk to you. Do you take it with lemon or with milk?
While the wife of the jeweler gnashed her teeth in envy. Tea with a minstrel, and her husband wouldn't invite Herzl to tea. Well, that's unimportant. What's important is what happened that night in the little cottage of the accordion player. After telling his wife the 2 miracles that happened that day, he met Herzl, 1, and 2, he received 3 gulden that day. He said...
So I can't go out, of course, and play the accordion.
Why?
And disgrace Mr. Herzl?
Why would you disgrace Mr. Herzl?
I just told you. We look alike. Almost like brothers.
Suppose you do?
And if someone would say to someone else, yesterday I saw Theodor Herzl playing an accordion in the streets and hoping someone would throw him a gulden.
So because you look like Theodor Herzl, the children must starve and I must go hungry?
Yes, sir, please. Should I bring disgrace to all the Jews of the world? No. I can't play here. I can't. Don't ask me to.
But the next day there was a minstrel making the rounds. Of course, you guessed it. Herzl ruffled up his beard, put on some old clothes, got an accordion from somewhere, and he became Johann for a day.
Hava, Nagila Hava, Nagila Hava, Nagila Rein Ismacha. Hava, Nagila Hava, Nagila Hava, Nagila Rein Ismacha. Hava neranena, Hava neranena, Hava neranena, Rein Ismacha. Hava neranena, Hava neranena, Hava neranena, Rein Ismacha. Ruachim, Ruachim bleifameach, Ruachim bleifameach, Ruachim bleifameach, Ruachim bleifameach. Uruachim, bleifameach. Hava, Nagila Hava, Nagila Hava, Nagila Vein Ismacha. Hava, Nagila Hava, Nagila Hava, Nagila Vein Ismacha.
We made the rounds. Towards the end of the day, came back to the farmhouse where the jeweler was sitting. He played for the jeweler and talked to the jeweler. And later, after Herzl had gone, the jeweler's wife came out on the veranda.
Darling, I need something. Darling, did you hear me?
Oh, yes?
I need 10 gulden. I have to go to town for something, and I want 10 gulden.
10 gulden, well, I haven't got it.
What do you mean you haven't got it? An hour ago you showed me you had 12, 15 gulden in your pocket.
Well, I gave it to the accordion player.
You did what?
Yeah, that's right. I gave it away.
Why? What happened to you?
Herzl.
What are you talking about?
Well, you heard the accordion music before, didn't you?
So?
And when the music was over, you heard me talking to someone, the minstrel?
Get to the point.
He's a great man, your Herzl.
That's what I've been telling you. Well?
Well, he was a minstrel.
Herzl?
Yes, Herzl.
What did he say to you?
He's a great man.
I know that, but I want to know what he said. And tell me slowly.
Well, nothing. Nothing.
I'm waiting.
All right. He said, you're a man. Incidentally, you're a Jew, too. I said, yes. He said, you believe in the future of humanity? I said, yes. He said, how will we better our lot? Alone? I said, no. Together, he said. Right? Together? I said, yes. We must be united. All men helping each other to better their lot. I said, yes. He said, then tell me, how, if you do not help out your more unfortunate fellow men, can you expect your fellow men to help you?
What did you say?
So I haven't got the 15 gulden anymore.
Next day, Herzl paid a visit. He gave Johann what he had collected from the jeweler and also from the others.
152 gulden.
What can we say, Mr. Herzl?
Don't say anything. Let me thank you. Thank us? You make friends on a vacation. That makes it a double vacation. Thank you.
Then he left, Herzl did, for Vienna. So, as a result, I read his books, studied his life, and I put up the picture you see there. And that's all, Herr Wolfson.
It's a fine picture. A fine story.
I made the frame myself.
Very handsome.
And the desk. He used to work there. I made that, too. And as a result, I have to work there now at his desk. I have to use it. I have to try.
Have to? Try what?
I have to keep at it.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Well, that's the rest of the story.
So what are we waiting for?
Nothing. I was just thinking. Herr Herzl was that he died in Vienna on July the 3rd, 1905 at 5 o'clock in the afternoon at the age of 44. That was terrible news. But the man who took it worst was Johann. The next time he came, I told him he hadn't heard it before. He cried. And when finally he was able to speak...
Such a world we live in. Such a world.
I know, Johann. I know.
In all my life, in the Alps, all over Austria, did I ever meet such a man?
I know, Johann.
What he tried to do for us. For his people.
For me too, Johann.
Exactly. For everybody. And he has to die.
Mm-hmm.
How old was he? A young man.
44.
Yeah. Good people always die. The evil ones, the selfish ones, these live on and on.
No, don't be bitter, Johann.
Justice. That's why she wears a bandage across her eye.
Why upset yourself?
Well, you'll never see me again.
Why? You come every 6 months.
Never again.
What?
Not to Alt-Asti. Never.
But why?
Because he was here. And he's dead. That's why. So goodbye. Shalom, Mr. Leuthold.
Shalom, Johann. Shalom Aleichem. And so you see why I have to use this desk. That's why I have to try. And that's the whole story, Herr Wolfson.
I don't understand fully. Why do you say you have to?
Because Herr Herzl is dead.
But what are you trying to do?
To show him there are other good people on earth. To show him that even though Herr Herzl is dead, other people are still alive and remember. Johann is not the only one Herr Herzl helped. He helped me, even though he did change my life. Even though now I have to show him.
You keep saying you have to show him. Have to show whom?
Johann, the accordion player.
But what? Why?
You see, I'm trying to bring Johann back to Alt-Asti. He said he wouldn't come back because Herr Herzl was dead. But if I try, if I show him there are others, maybe he'll see that he can believe in his fellow men. I can never be Herr Herzl, but maybe if I try, if I'm like Herr Herzl, maybe then if Johann hears about me, he'll come back again to Alt-Asti. Maybe then...
Mr. Leuthold, listen.
Yes. Yes, Herr Wolfson. It's an accordion. Johann heard. Johann has come back.
Here, let me open the window.
Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Venismacha. Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Venismacha. Havan ranna, Havan ranna, Havan ranna, Venismacha. Havan ranna, Havan ranna, Havan ranna, Venismacha. Oh, Achim, Uruachim, Bleifaneach, Uruachim, Bleifaneach, Uruachim, Bleifaneach, Uruachim, Bleifaneach. Uruachim, Uruachim, Bleifaneach. Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Venismacha. Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Venismacha.
So it was that I, Wolfson, a writer, a traveler, a lover of beauty, So it was that I first heard Johann, the accordion player. And if you are ever lucky enough to go to the Alps, maybe you might go to that cove in the hollow of a great range, to that place of alpine perfection, Alto Stay. If you do, then look at the picture of Theodor Herzl in the large room of Ferdinand Leubel's farmhouse. If you look hard, although now the picture is covered with dust, and Johann is no more. If you are lucky as I, maybe you too will hear Johann the accordion player. Maybe.
Eternal Light story today, Herzl and the Minstrel, was written by Arnold Pearl. Featured in the role of Herzl was Santos Ortega. The music was composed by Morris Mamorsky and conducted by Milton Cadens. Both the liturgical introduction and the vocal solos were sung by cantor David Futterman, and the entire production was under the direction of Walter McGraw. The National Broadcasting Company and its independent affiliated stations make free time available to present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation, and it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its independent affiliated stations make free time available to present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Our drama today by Harold Rosenberg is an adaptation of Leonid Andreev's biblical tragedy, Samson in Chains, translated by Herman Bernstein. The modern Russian dramatist retold in his own way the biblical story of the blinded hero of Israel, who pulled down upon himself the temple of his Philistine tormentors. In every generation, poets and thinkers have turned to the Bible in order to find an answer to the pathos of their own day.
Samson in chains, betrayed by Delilah, blinded, the judge of Judea, he whose fabulous strength was as the Spirit of God, had been dragged off to toil at the grindstone in the prison of the Philistines. Crushed, sightless, without hope, the fallen Samson was as a vessel filled with shame and contempt in the dungeon of the enemy.
Out of my way. Eat your food, gnaw your bone, and go to sleep.
It is not easy to sleep, jailer, even when one is worn out with toil. If I could sleep and remember nothing, even a blind man could live.
What does she want? This woman who comes each night and crouches outside to curse at you. She who is known as the blind woman of Judea.
She comes to awaken him who is dead. Samson the hero, judge of Israel. She calls upon that warrior whom armies feared and women loved.
Women loved you.
Even Delilah loved me, though she betrayed me. Was I not handsome and a prince? Did not your heroes tremble before me?
Stop it, Samson. The past is a lie. Go to sleep now.
How dark it is down here.
Smells like a den of lions. What is it, jailer? Just a few steps more, my lord. Here we are.
Remember, jailer, you must not know I too have come. The lady has come to see him alone.
Samson, a visitor has come to you.
I do not want anyone.
Go, jailer. Leave your lantern on the ground. Samson, it is I, Delilah. Have you forgotten my voice, Samson?
I know nothing. I am a blind slave of the Philistines. See? Look at me.
So, this is what you are.
You see?
Samson, my prince, I've come to take you away. Come with me. I shall anoint you with oil and perfumes and attire you in silk. Gold rings will adorn your fingers. Come. Everything shall be as it was.
Be silent. Look at my eyes.
In your memory, you can still see me as I danced before you. They say I have grown more beautiful.
I remember nothing. My brain is seared and empty like my eyes.
I loved you, Samson. I swear by the goddess Ishtar, and your spell is still upon me. Don't you believe me, Samson?
It was your brother who blinded me, and you helped him. You betrayed me, Philistine woman.
My brother deceived me, the accursed one. He swore you were a sorcerer and that we had to kill you. I hate him. Your eyes were like doves bathing in streams of milk, and he burnt them out. You shall have vengeance, Samson. Your strength will return, and we will destroy him. Do you hear me, my beloved?
I hear.
Come back to me, Samson, to the perfume of my couch. I'm waiting for you. My soul is departed since you left me.
Who is with you here?
It's the jailer, Samson.
There's someone else. Who is he?
No one, I swear.
Evasions are useless, Delilah. Yes, Samson. It is I, Galiel. Delilah's accursed brother, whose voice you last heard when you saw the light for the last time. It was I who wielded the red-hot iron.
What more do you seek? Have you come to kill me?
No, Samson. It is as Delilah says. We have come to take you away from this wretched place. She loves you. It is perhaps even true that she hates me for blinding you.
Galiel.
That's no matter. Samson, the king of the Philistines, has sent me to you. His heart has grown soft. He wishes you no further harm.
I am blind.
Yes. A great misfortune. It has often seemed to me that we made a serious blunder there. But I am sure you understand how such things happen. You are wise as ever, Judge of Israel. We were all wrong. Terribly wrong. We treated you as an enemy, and you were really our friend. I have heard the Judeans are cursing you, calling you traitor, threatening to kill you. Is that true?
I'm going, Galiel.
Yes. Let us both go. You will come to us, Samson. You know we always loved you, except for that regrettable moment, and then, as you understand, we were but defending ourselves against the terror with which you filled us.
Farewell.
Farewell, Samson. I shall come and talk with you again. We are anxious to make amends. You could have much gold, Samson. Would you like that? I'm only jesting, of course. But you can have it. Jailer.
Yes, my lord.
See that Samson is given whatever food he wishes. And wine. royal wine.
Fill it up again, jailer. And fill your own cup, too. I permit it. Dogs. False dogs. Friend Samson. Go. They speak thus to me, a judge of Israel. Do you know why they need me now? Are they waging a new war against the Egyptians or against Sidon? Perhaps even planning new attacks upon Judea. Jailer, did you see Delilah? Is she still beautiful? Tell me how she was dressed. Did she wear a silk mantle?
The color of a precious gem.
She wore earrings and a necklace and bracelets and a belt of woven gold. And her odor was the same as long ago. The odor of a Phoenician vessel laden with perfume. How good that music is. What can it be?
The festival is beginning.
Delilah, are you waiting for me? The houses are white in the moonlight. Why is it so still here? Why is no wind blowing? Where are the stars? Light a torch, jailer.
The torch is burning. Don't be foolish.
Then why is it dark? I want to see. Where's the light? Where is the end of darkness? I shall seize it and tear it apart. But it has no end. I cannot see anything.
Samson, are you down there? Wake up, Samson. I come from Judea. Get up. Are you tired, you dog? Did you work hard today for the Philistine slave?
Begone, you owl. I want to sleep.
Ah, the judge of Israel speaks.
I'm sick of your tears and your curses. Go howl with the jackals and leave me alone.
How happy I should be to forget you, slave. Oh, what is Israel to do? What are the people of God to do?
Your song is out of tune, Nightbird. Coward, you betrayed me. When I fell by treachery, who of your Judeans came to deliver me?
Where were we to get the power which is all yours? You led Israel, traitor.
I despise you, weaklings. Backsliding generation. You bow down to tyranny because it is strong. I'm sick of you. Go bend your necks under the heels of the Philistines.
Your strength was from God, Samson, for the salvation of Israel. And you gave away God's strength to the women of Ascalon, to the dancers of Gaza. You have bartered it on perfumed couches. You have sold yourself like a sheep, O chosen one.
Who chose me? I did not ask for it.
Be silent in your dishonor. Be cursed, you sensualist, you parasite, slave of the Philistines.
No, this is the speech of Judea. Go back then and tell your beggarly Israel that soon I will return to power, and I will hurl down their huts, trample their children underfoot, and throw their women to the Philistines. I will be a huge serpent in their land, and I will devour them. Do you hear, you miserable night bird?
Do you mean it? You would harm your own people. What answer will you make to God? Samson, speak. I am returning home. What shall I say to the grave of your father, Manoah? What shall I tell your mother who is sick and nearing her end? Do you hear me? Are you alive? God of Israel, I'm seized with terror. Is this the darkness of death about me? Samson! Oh, it is horrible. I cannot stay here any longer.
What are you seeing him, Galia? A dirty, wretched slave, blind and maddened by his blindness.
You do not understand, Adoran. I shall get his power, my friend. It was I who blinded him. I shall have his whirlwind power. In my hands, Samson shall be a hammer to crush every enemy, subdue the rebel Judeans forever. What a throne I shall forge for our god Dagon.
You're mad, Delio.
Was it not I who blinded Samson? Think of what that means. Was I who drove the lightning of fire from his eyes, the lightning of his terrible god.
Mistress Delilah, they have brought the Judean slave, Samson. He is waiting.
He is not a slave, but a noble prince. Remember that girl. Ask him to enter.
Yes, mistress.
This time, Galio, make sure you do not disturb us.
I will stand in the corner. He will not know.
Delilah! Delilah, where are you? There used to be a couch here on the right. Yes, this is it. And the ivory stool. I have come back. Delilah!
Over your hands, Samson.
Delilah.
Why do you tremble?
Is it really you, Delilah? Are we alone?
Yes, my love.
Tell me. Am I wearing golden robes?
Yes. How did you know?
I see with my fingers. Your hand is white. And your arm. I know, don't I?
I love you, Samson.
You're crying. You never cried before.
I have learned to cry.
Don't cry. I love the Philistine women because they never cry. Crying is for the Judeans.
I'm not a good Philistine woman, Samson. I love you. And loving you, I cry. Samson, why did you deceive me?
I? When?
Why did you not tell me you were a prophet?
I am not a prophet. My mistress Delilah, if you expected a prophet, send me back to the grindstones.
Tell me about your God, Samson.
Someone is standing here listening.
No, my beloved. Tell me about your God. He's terrible in his strength, is he not?
It is Galiel who speaks through you.
No.
Why then do you ask about God? Before only Samson was laboring for the Philistines. Now you want the Lord of hosts himself to turn their grindstones. How sly you are.
My beloved, I want to know your God so that I may know you better.
I will tell you about our Lord. But if someone else is here, let him go. For what I say will not benefit him. God is great and terrible in his justice. What he wishes will be accomplished whether through me or through others.
Is he stronger and higher than Dagon?
Yes.
And does he visit you, Samson?
My strength is from the Lord. What do they think, Galen and his friends? Do they think my power is very great?
They do not know.
They do not know. That is funny. I, too, do not know. It is good to be a wind in the wilderness, but the outcome of the battle lies with the Lord. Do you hear that, Galiel?
Isn't it a perfect day for a drive, Samson? And it is well that the people should grow accustomed to seeing you. Galiel has convinced the king that you should command his legions against Egypt. There remains but one obstacle. The priests of Dagon are opposed to it. They resent the prestige you would bring to your God. Fools! They've contrived a test for you, and Galiel has been forced to agree. You're to bring an offering to Dagon at his festival tomorrow. They want you to kneel before their idol as a slave and admit that he's conquered you. That will prove to the people that Dagon is mightier than the God of Israel. Of course, the priests expect you to refuse. Then they can attack your loyalty. You smile. You do not seem to mind this arrangement. Yes, why not kneel to Dagon? Did you know there's a crack in his left side?
Mariam. Why do you stop?
Oh, it is so magnificent here. I feel afraid. Are you sure, my poor blind Melchior, that my son Samson really lives in this palace? Won't they drive us out?
Mother of Samson, are you afraid of your son?
Someone is coming through the curtain. Samson! Oh, his eyes! Oh.
Greetings to you, Samson, from Israel.
Who is crying there beside you, blind woman?
An old woman who led me along the road. I am blind like you, Nazarite.
Do not call me Nazarite. Tell her to stop crying. I hate tears. Be silent, old woman. Now speak quickly. Why did you come here?
It is said in Judea that you have surrendered to the Philistines and that you want to bring an offering to their idol. Is that true?
True, I want it so. What do I care what their gods are? I am my own will.
Have pity on your people, Samson. The spirit of darkness himself would cry out at seeing our suffering.
Cry for yourselves. I have no eyes and no tears for you.
Traitor, do you know for whom I have given my eyes?
Do not tell me.
Whom did I love? For whom was I waiting? Was it not you, Samson? Do you remember the eyes of Melchior?
Melchior, the daughter of Jesse. Girl, what have you done to yourself?
Return to your people, O judge of Israel. They're waiting for you as for rain. Save the land that is orphaned.
How long have you been blind?
Since the day on which you were blinded. I said, if my eyes see the light, I will forget Samson and his vow to God. And if not I, who will remind it? In me the darkness shall have a voice.
How terrible is your love.
Return our chosen one, our lion, our guardian. Have fear of the only God. Leave the idols of the Philistines. Leave Delilah.
No, your love is a snare. I do not want it. Too long have I listened to you. Go to your people and tell them loudly, Samson follows his own will. Tell them that I have forgotten the ground where my father lies buried.
Oh, Samson, do not turn against your father's grave.
Mother. Mother, how could you walk so far with your old tired feet through the wilderness where beasts could have attacked you? Mother, you are standing while I have been sitting and exalting myself. Here, sit down.
Oh, do not move, my son. Oh, can you not see anything?
Nothing. Put your arms about my neck, Mother.
Oh.
I am so weary. My soul is black with death, and I cannot lead Israel.
When I saw how well you were living, I rejoiced.
Do not rejoice in his evil prosperity. Remember what the people commanded you.
Be silent.
Have pity, Samson. The elders have said Samson has armed himself against us. Go and implore him. And if he pays no heed, curse him as a traitor.
Curse him, Mariam, if he will not return. It is commanded.
Who dares command except God?
Curse him, Mariam. You vowed him to the God of Israel, and he has broken the vow. Curse him.
I cannot.
What will you say to God? What will you say to your husband Manoah when you come to him?
Do not call upon Manoah. No, I cannot curse my son. No. No, come away, Melchior. Give me your hand. Come.
Mother. Mother. God is pressing me. He is shaking me at the roots like a fruit-bearing tree. Whither am I running away from you?
Yet, shaken as he was by the call of Israel, Samson allowed himself to be led to the festival of Dagon in accordance with Gamaliel's plan. He was to be shamed and humbled for the greater glory of the idol of the Philistines. And yet he went, hardly knowing why. It was to be a great day for the Philistines, for their terrible foe had been delivered into their hands, and now they could make sport of him in his blindness. There he came, tall as a cedar in the robes of a nobleman, his hair falling over his shoulders as of old, but manacled as a slave, and his eyes burnt out, clutching the hands of Gamaliel like a helpless infant.
Samson, today you must reveal yourself to them in your power. Is your God with you? Why are you smiling? Call on your God. Let the priests and the people have their way today. Tomorrow we shall command. I swear by your power.
Samson, the slave of all merciful king, the Judean son of Manoah, former judge of godless Israel, desires to bend the knee before the power of Almighty Dagon. Lead him to the platform between the two pillars. Kneel, Samson. Glory and power to Dagon. Glory to the firstborn Father of gods and of men. Glory to the command of the infernal regions, the God of evil, the ruler of despair and death. Glory to the 7 demons of the abyss. They are devastating whirlwinds. They know no mercy. They show no pity. Oh, spirits of the earth, to thee I call. Oh, spirits of the earth, to thee I call. Now rise, Samson. Bow to the king.
Where is he?
Samson, son of Manoah, has bent his knee to beg forgiveness for the evil he has committed. The blood he has shed is on his head and on his people. Gabriel, servant of the king, fill the cup of humiliation for the slave Samson, prince of Israel, and smite his cheek with your right hand. Smite him.
No, this is not necessary.
I command you. Smite him.
I cannot. No. Samson, my friend, will you permit me? We must satisfy them. Look, it's but a touch.
Glory and power to Dagon, to the master of evil and darkness, the rulers of the infernal. Now Samson wishes to speak to Dagon, to the king and the people. Speak, Samson.
I did not expect this, Gabriel.
Samson, please, speak. Give them a sign. Samson, don't you hear me? Samson wants to come over me.
Look! He's stepping between the columns. He's going to...
Silence! You Philistine slaves, be still. Listen to my words. Hear me, multitude. Hearken, heaven and earth. I am the sword of the Lord of hosts. I am the rod of the wrath of God. God said, I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Stop him! This is the lightning of Sinai! Adoram! Delilah! Save yourself! God of Israel, thy will is inexorable, but I am unworthy to be thy vessel. Who am I? A man full of squalor and shame, a lover of evening songs and of lust. Are thy prophets like that? A blind man on the highways, how can I guide thy people? What shall I do with thy strength? I am unworthy to lead Israel. Then die my soul with the Philistines!
Our script today by Harold Rosenberg was an adaptation of Leonid Andreev's biblical tragedy, Samson in Chains, translated by Herman Bernstein. The part of Samson was played by Kermit Murdoch, Delilah by Ann Seymour, Galiel by Santos Ortega, and The Blind Girl by Mitzi Gould. The music was composed by Morris Mamorsky and conducted by Milton Keynes. Cantor David Putterman was the soloist, and the entire production was under the direction of Walter McGraw. time has been given by the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations to present this program in cooperation with the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.